Hey everybody, so the GM got dragged into yet another shadow game. It's crazy. This keeps happening and we really keep telling him to stop accepting challenges from random white-haired weirdos. But
to the shadow realm with you. Nah.
But it really is what it is. So with no GM, session's canceled. But I brought my Duel Master cards. So does anyone want to play?
No.
Pick the fire deck. Like
no. Wow, what a basic bitch you are. Fire? What a
no, dude, the fucking I played like a pretty sick dragon deck in Duel Masters. I had all the cool ones. I had Gatling Sky Terror, I had Bullshock Dragon. I was so happy.
I am always, when it comes to any kind of like elemental typing shit for any like show, video game, card game, any of it, I am always anti-fire because I feel like it's always the default pick and I'm just like, no, no, rejects conformity. Like when I saw that the firebenders, when I watched Avatar, the firebenders were the bad guys, I was like, you damn straight they are. Thank God, dude. You don't understand. I loved when the main character was a fucking airbender, I was like, hell yeah, dude. Like, that's a different vibe. I'm still annoyed that Tanjiro is basically a fire breather now. That still bothers me to this day.
Really?
Yes, I wanted Tanjiro. I love the fact that the main character was based around water technique because it makes him so much like we don't need to get too down into this rabbit hole. But yes, I like the main character being based around water and the fact that in the second half of the series he becomes fire/sun guy, and I was just like, God damn it.
You know what's funny? Given our topic of discussion, hey, hi, hello. We're still talking about Perfect Draw. I really like the resolved the like main character.
Yeah.
I really like her deck archetype, the Battle Block Battalion. Because I kind of was expecting something really edgy or really extra.
I was expecting something closer to Yugi.
Yeah, I was too. That deck does exist. It's the Destined, but like I kind of like, and I don't know. People, I kind of shit on the goofier deck archetypes in Yu-Gi-Oh, but I don't know. I just kind of like, what was that show? Was it Cubix? The robot cube toy gimmick thing from the early 2000s? Do you remember that cartoon?
No.
Fair enough. I don't know. A part of me is like, the Resolves deck is like a Bionicle deck, and you're like, ah, fuck, that's cool, actually.
See, I think it's funny that you like, I think that's kind of funny because I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be based on Yuma's Go-Go-Go's and Ga-Ga-Ga's in Zexal. I'm pretty sure that's where they got the idea for that.
It could be, and it probably is. And I don't know why.
Because Yuma's vibe was kind of toys. Like, they weren't exactly toys in Zexal, but like aesthetically, they did kind of look like toys.
Right.
I mean, did you not? You didn't even like Go-Go-Go Magician? His Dark Magician.
I know I didn't like Go-Go Magician.
But
I hate the stupid, like, don't get me wrong, I love the Bancho look. I love the like the school tough guy with the fucking Jotaro chain. But like the stupid fire pattern on his cloak that just looks like something like it looks like Guy Fieri's Magician. Like
I loved Ga-Ga-Ga Magician. I thought he was like a perfect like a fun reinterpretation of Dark Magician, especially because Yusei and Jaden didn't really have a Dark Magician style ace card in the same way. You know what I mean? Like obviously Yusei had Stardust Dragon, but that was different because Stardust Dragon was more like his Slifer. And then
no, I mean Yusei did his original ace was Junk Warrior.
Yeah, but it didn't
Junk
feel
Warrior
the
was
same.
My boy when he did the sick pose and he like fucking cracks the screen with the punch, and I was like, fuck yeah,
like Junk Warrior's cool, but I don't know. I don't know. He didn't feel the same, and the fact that they were both synchro monsters, like I don't know. I don't know. I love Ga-Ga-Ga Magician's vibe. I thought that was a great like reference to Yugi and Dark Magician and that whole thing. I don't know. I like Yuma's deck. I think Yuma has a fun deck.
I think it's stupid, which again is ironic. I like the Battle Block Battalion.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's kind of a similar thing.
Similar. Well, you know, to be fair, like we don't have any like physical representation for the Battle Block Battalion. Like if the art for them was goofy as fuck, I might hate them. But like the idea of them is cool.
I feel like it would be goofy looking though. Like I think that's kind of the point. They would look a little goofy.
They might.
That's kind of why I liked Yuma's deck too, because like he was a little goofy looking. He was like the underdog main character.
God, a little goofy looking. That's the way I'm describing the way Yuma looks.
I don't think they look that bad.
I hate the way Yuma looks.
No, his cards I'm talking about. I also don't think Yuma looks that bad, but that's a whole other thing.
I don't know, man. I don't know what to tell you. Anyway, hello everybody. We're talking about Perfect Draw again. Like I said,
everybody hating on my boy.
Look, I'm sorry. It is what it is. We are picking up where we left off last week. We're hitting the second half of the book, the card creation system, character creator, maybe some of the world lore, and maybe some of the GM stuff at the end. It's pretty quick and basic, so we'll see. Before we get into all that, though, please follow us on your podcast platform of choice. We really appreciate it. Yeah. Actually, I wanted to ask you. So, you said before podcast that for certain reasons you were more down for Perfect Draw than you were last week. You want to give that a little shot real quick before we start up?
Yeah, we kind of got into it a little bit talking about the main character's decks, right? So, I watched a video about how Yugi's decks throughout the original Yu-Gi-Oh series are bad. And I already knew that as someone who actually played Yu-Gi-Oh IRL. Like I knew that Yugi's decks were bad because there was never any synergy to any of his shit. There was never Yugi did not have a win condition for his deck ever. Like there just was no win condition other than big monster hit hard, which like in actual Yu-Gi-Oh is really not a win condition because you're just never gonna get there. Like big monster hit hard is just not gonna happen. Like 90% of the time. So like I knew his cards were bad, but watching the video reminded me of how bad his deck is. Like the fact that Yugi always ran a single copy of like every card in his deck is fucking mind-boggling. Like I really like didn't think about that, but I was like, bro ran a single copy of everything. That is the dumbest thing you could possibly do in Yu-Gi-Oh. I mean, in basically any card game, but especially in Yu-Gi-Oh. Like, are you fucking like, sir? Were you lobotomized as a child? I can't. Like, Jesus, okay. Especially a card like Dark Magician, his ace. Why are you not running 3 Dark Magicians? There's no reason not to. You have 0 reason not to. And I know it's because anime, like, it's his one special card, but like, shut the fuck up. Get the fuck out of here.
They also referenced the fact that the Dark Magician is like a super rare card.
It might be in universe, I guess, which like, sure, fine. But I just, like, he's running a single copy of Monster Reborn. Like, dude, what are we doing here? Like,
I mean, look, the fact that he can run Monster Reborn at all is kind of a miracle.
Well, no, not at the time it wasn't.
Yes, I know. I'm just...
Monster Reborn has been in and out of the ban list so many... Actually, you know what? I'm dead ass. I'm gonna pull up the list right now. Monster Reborn?
I'm so curious.
Monster Reborn is currently limited. So you can run 1 of it. No, 2? Wait, 1 or 2? 2. 1, sorry. Monster Reborn is currently limited, so you can run 1 copy. Not banned, though. Currently, as of February 26th. Sorry, what? As of February 2nd, 2026.
So can you explain to me, before we get into it, why Monster Reborn is so overpowered? I'm not sure I understand.
It kind of depends on the meta, which is why it's been on and off of the ban list so many times. Like, it's been banned and it's been unbanned. But it just comes down to the thing about Monster Reborn is you can special summon a monster from your graveyard or your opponent's graveyard. And depending on the meta that is currently going on, dumping like all of your monsters into your graveyard to then like special summon them later is potentially incredibly strong. And certain decks, like there was a deck called there's an archetype called the Dark Worlds, that their entire shtick was their monsters did stuff from the graveyard. Like that was their gimmick, was doing shit from the graveyard, not from the field or from their hand. So like a deck like that, you were dumping monsters constantly, and you could, depending on setups and stuff, you could like double up. Like if a monster had an effect, it's like when they go to the graveyard or when they're special summon, you can like double up an effect like that. For example, this is one example. So Monster Reborn has come in and out of being relevant because sometimes pulling shit from the graveyard has been really like amazingly good, and sometimes it's been slightly less good. And also being able to, like, if you can get your opponent's really strong card off the field and then steal it from their graveyard and then lock down their strategy with their own card potentially, or just supercharge your strategy with your, like, it could get into weird places. You can also have multiples of cards. Like if a card is limited, but you guys, both you and your opponent, are running the limited card, then you could Monster Reborn and have 2 copies of a card that you're only supposed to have 1 copy of in your deck actually. On your field. Yeah. So it's shit like that. So like its relevance kind of comes in and out depending on the meta and shit. Honestly though, it being limited kind of makes it not worth putting in your deck now at all, to be honest. So
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I mean, not entirely. Like, I'm sure there's probably strategies that use it. I'm not up on the meta. I'm not up on the current meta, obviously, so I could be talking out of my ass a little bit, but the fact that you can only have 1 means your chances of drawing it are so rare that it might not really be worth it at all anymore, but I don't know. I'm not positive. So, yeah.
Fair enough. Well, I mean, could you not have cards that are less limited that let you deck searches, and then you could just deck search the Monster Reborn, and then
you could deck search, but deck searching for something like just Monster Reborn is not necessarily worth it unless you have a very specific plan. Like I said, I don't know what the current meta is, so there may be a strategy where deck searching for your 1 Monster Reborn is like super worth it. I don't totally know.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Before we get into it, one last thing.
Anyway,
is it maybe worth talking about TCGs on this channel?
No. No, we're going down.
Look, I guarantee you that's a surefire way of getting Matt and Sam back.
We're getting down a tangent, but
fair enough.
Anyway, all of this to go back to the original point. Yes, the reason. So yes, I had a bit of a like epiphany about this tabletop game. So I watched this video about how bad Yugi's deck is. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. And then I also watched a video about how many times Yugi cheats in the original series. And again, much like his deck, I knew he cheated a lot, but I kind of forgot how much. And it's like, it's pretty hilarious, to be honest. Like, it's just a ridiculous amount of cheating.
It's like 57 times, yeah.
Yeah. And it's not just cheating. And you might say to yourself, like, oh, well, he's cheating based on the actual card game rules, right? No, sometimes he's also cheating based on the anime's rules, too. Because the anime does have different continuity rules for how the game works sometimes. And sometimes he's cheating those also, which is like, bro, what? And he doesn't get called on this shit? But anyway, and what I realized about Perfect Draw is that Perfect Draw is emulating, as we said last time, not card games. It's emulating card game anime specifically. And card game anime are fucking messy and bullshit and don't make a lot of sense a lot of the time, because what card game anime is often trying to do is emulate the vibe of a shonen, like a Demon Slayer, like a Dragon Ball Z, you know, like a Jujutsu Kaisen, right? Like a One Piece. They're trying to take that vibe, but they're trying to do that shonen feel via a card game, which is supposed to have rules. But the problem is, if you want the moment where your protagonist does the cool ass pull and has the secret technique that they've been training their whole life for, that doesn't really work if you're actually trying to obey the rules of a card game, because luck and RNG could just not be on your side, and then your shonen protagonist can't do their cool ass pull like secret technique maneuver. So the card game animes will often just break their own rules or do some crazy bullshit to make it work. So they're messy. And what I realize is Perfect Draw is a messy game because it's emulating a messy source material. And if they want to emulate the source material as honestly as they can, that's going to, by extension, make the actual tabletop game kind of a fucking mess, because that's really the only way you could do it. So, it's sort of like the game is almost badly designed on purpose. Like, it's kind of a mess, but it's intentionally kind of a mess. So they nailed the feeling, like, spot on, basically. And so a lot of my frustration, I kind of realized a lot of my frustration with reading and trying to understand the game is that it's about as frustrating as trying to understand the bullshit Yugi is pulling in the fucking anime.
So I'm assuming that loops it back around to making it peak?
In like a weird, so yeah, like kinda, yeah, it kind of loops back around to being peak. If you want the shonen card game battle anime feeling, and you specifically want the feeling that the show does, like, and only the show, like, you don't give a shit about it feeling like an actual TCG in any way, then, like, yeah, it's kind of nailing that. And so you come back around to, like, mission accomplished. The thing you just have to be aware of or like pay attention to when you're playing the game is that it's emulating an inherently messy source material, so the game is going to probably feel inherently messy. So as long as you're understanding that, it's fine. It's actually, then it becomes good, actually.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that is also funny, though, is by extension, is that realization also means that this tabletop game is even less so for people who, like I said last time, this is not a game that's going to appeal very much to anyone who doesn't understand the source material or doesn't care about the anime source material. The realization I just explained makes that even more true. Because now, not only are you not going to entirely understand what the vibe is trying to go for, you're also maybe going to be a little confused as to why it seems like the game doesn't work 100%. And it's because it's pulling from a thing that doesn't work 100%. But if you don't know that, you get... So, like, yeah, trying to get your friend who only plays D&D to play this game is not gonna... Good luck. Good fucking luck.
Fair enough. I still think I disagree. I don't think this game is actually that messily designed. I think you have to think about it in two separate scope of minds: the card game and the game that surrounds the card game. I think the card game is really well designed. I think the card game is less well designed, but you can see that's because they put all of their attention into the thing that they really cared about, which was the card game design.
See, but I think the card game is the messiest part because it's so open-ended in how it works. And the fact that you can there's literally a move in the game that is, I pull out the card exactly that I needed and I make up the effect on the spot, and then we'll worry about balancing it later. Like, that's literally a core move in the game.
It is. You know, admittedly, it is.
So, like, I think the card game part is the messy part, but again, that's kind of the point. So it works. It's very weird. It's a very strange game. Like, I really can't. Again, if you're not someone who it's like, for this game to work, you need to be, again, like I said last time, this game is a niche on a niche on a niche, right? And if you don't know all three niches we're trying to hit here, it's gonna be a tough sell. It's gonna be a tricky one. Like, someone might like the idea of it, like someone might hear the premise of the game and like it, but not, once they go to play it, not really know how to play it, you know, like, don't really, like, know what to do. And don't get me wrong, this is true of other tabletop games, right? People will hear about the idea of D&D and then not really know how they're supposed to enact the idea of D&D while actually playing D&D. Like, that is true of all tabletop games. This game just cranks that problem up to 11 because it's so specific in what it's trying to enact. You know, like,
I'll definitely give you the specificity. If you're, like you said before, if you're not super in on the vibes and like the source material, yeah, it's gonna be I'll give you that. It is a tough sell.
It's a tough sell. Like, here's the thing though. It sounds like I'm saying a negative, but on the positive side of what I'm talking about, it is worth pointing out that when you design a game to be hyper specific to a specific audience in a specific niche, that tends to be when you make the best games, right? Like, making games that are super generic to the widest audience generally gets you the least interesting stuff. So in that regard, you have a very interesting game on your hands. So if you're into what they're selling, you're going to be really into it, you know?
Yeah.
So like,
agreed.
There's that element to it too. And again, I am into what they're selling for the most part. So, you know, I'm not even really hating. My initial frustration was feeling like the game part of the game was like almost like not finished or not fully realized. But now what I'm realizing is, no, it is fully realized. It's fully realized in a very specific way. And it ends up being a bit of a weird like feedback loop situation almost. So, yeah.
You mean where the design reinforces the theme, which reinforces the design, which reinforces the theme?
Kinda, yeah, but the design and it's like the design is bad because the theme is bad, but then it comes back around to being good, but then it goes back around to being bad. Like, you know what I mean?
I think, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think the word bad we gotta replace something
bad
else.
Is maybe not the right word, but like chaotic and messy.
I'll give you chaotic and messy,
like a little bit of a cluster, because I can just
wait, sir. Wait. We're 20 minutes in. We gotta get to actually put the meat and potatoes.
Okay, fine. My final point is, I can envision the player who thinks the idea is interesting, but is not super into something like Yu-Gi-Oh! And then the game is like, you need to design your entire deck from scratch, and the player looking at it and go, yeah, I don't know about that one. I'm always thinking of that person. I was on the edge of being that person when I was reading this game. So, yeah.
I mean, like I said before, you don't actually have to do that. Like, you don't have to do really anything from scratch. The game gives you so many resources.
No, not 100%.
But
not 100%
we'll get to
from
it.
Scratch.
It's
true.
That being said, where we left off was the very start of the card creation system, and buckle in. It's a doozy.
Yeah. I mean, this is the...
This is the meat and potatoes of this game.
I always talk about how tabletop games always have like their one mechanic that is like, this is their thing, this is their core, their butter, their everything. This is the one mechanic. This is the card creation is the core mechanic of this game by far.
Yeah, it is as integral to the game as the character creation system, perhaps even more.
Arguably more, yeah. Like, your character is almost secondary to your deck.
A little bit, yeah. Like, your character reinforces the deck, not necessarily the other way around. And while it is technically optional, it still serves as a really important touchstone to understanding the nuance behind card creation, so that, you know, when you use the card game combat moves later on, you'll kind of understand where the game is coming from when it asks that of you.
Yeah,
we're going to actually begin a little earlier back to the keyword section that I had left out in the card game combat section, because I feel like this is a more important place to talk about it.
It's slightly weird that the game refers to the deck building thing as like optional, which, like, I get what they mean by it, but it is a little funny to say it that way, because like, you do need a deck. So like,
you do need a deck. Well, so they're saying it's optional because you have
they provide decks. I get what they mean.
Yeah, 10 pre-made decks and dozens of pre-made cards. Like, it is purely optional, but it's important to understand the methodology behind the rules, because at some point you are probably gonna make a card that isn't in the list or isn't as described.
Well, I think at some point you're just gonna want to make a card.
Yeah, you probably are, yeah.
Seems, I feel like if anyone plays this for any extended period of time, they're gonna get to the point where they're like, I want to make my own thing now. Like, it seems unlikely you wouldn't get there.
Yeah, I can't, unless you are just, you somehow got roped into playing this campaign and you really don't want to play it, but you don't want to leave this group.
Just riding
your Thursday
the vibes.
nights are otherwise completely uneventful. So you're kind of just here vibing.
Yeah.
But yeah. The keywords are a pretty basic tag system. Cards that you create or find or interact with will have at least one of these keywords on them, and it's important to understand what they mean. So when you start making the cards or when someone brings them up, you know, you're not looking at it like, what the fuck is that? The keywords are as follows: overwork, strengthened, overwhelm, underwhelm, piercer, sniper, teamwork, follow-up, blocker, inconspicuous, fumble, and pressure. As a basic overview, overwork essentially just means that when you play a card with this tag, you cannot play a staple or an invocation on the next turn. Basically meaning the card is so chunky that you basically get like summon sickness for a moment. Strengthened effectively takes your character, whatever your warrior's strength is, any your card strength is, and ups it one level. So weak becomes strong, weak becomes normal, normal becomes strong, and strong gains the overwhelm tag. Speaking of which, overwhelm guarantees that you will always win clashes with cards of the same strength. Underwhelm, as you can assume, does the opposite. Piercer allows you to deal damage to a player deal damage to a player upon destruction of a card. Sniper allows you to bypass other enemy warriors to attack the player directly. Teamwork is pretty cool. It allows, if you have more than one card on the field of the same strength, they essentially can pool their strength together to form a monster of one strength higher. Kind of like a fusion, except they unfuse after the attack phase. Blocker allows you to intercept incoming attacks to protect your monsters. Follow-up allows you to play a card after that one card that you're guaranteed per turn, not counting for staples, of course. Inconspicuous means that it can't be targeted. It's like the Magic the Gathering Flight. Fumble essentially works like a trap card. You describe how you want the fumble to work, and when it's triggered, it makes it so the opponent's play doesn't go the way it wants, and they would therefore have to use a counter your opponent's play move to stop it from happening. And then finally, pressure essentially just allows you to add +1 to your tension while that card's on the field. Pretty basic. It's also worth mentioning that each of these keywords, when you look at this section, has a unique little blurb called Costing This Effect that basically goes into some general details about what you want to think about when you add that keyword to a specific card and how powerful it could theoretically make that card under certain conditions. Got it? Everybody clear on that? All right, cool.
No, repeat all that again?
That shit ain't happening.
Again.
No, I don't want to. Into the card creation system itself, we're going to start pretty basic with the staples. We talked about staples last time, but if you don't remember, staples are generalized, often weaker cards that provide the decks that you create a level of consistency. Staples themselves, as the name implies, invokes the fiction of universal cards that, in theory, anybody could have. Think Monster Reborn, Pot of Greed, mana cards for the Magic the Gathering players.
You mean land cards?
Yeah, sorry.
You can tell we both don't play Magic.
Fair enough. An interesting thing to note about this, because I was thinking about this as I was reading the book up until I got to this point. as we mentioned last time, your deck at level 1 consists of 4 cards. But when you think about Yu-Gi-Oh, right, you think that Yugi doesn't just have 4 cards that he's known for, right? He's got Celtic Guardian, Buster Blader, the Magnet cards, Kuribo. He's got all of these little normal cards that aren't necessarily his ace or the Egyptian gods or anything. Staples account as this, because the game states that you're supposed to rename the staples to better fit them into your card deck. So to a normal, when you would take the card, when you take the Summon Knight card, which creates a normal monster, that would be your Celtic Guardian. That would be, for my Duel Master players out there, the Immortal Baron Vorg. That's just your guy. It's worth doing because you'll be playing these cards a lot. A lot of the decks that are pre-made pretty much consist of primarily throwing staple cards out and then using their ace and unique cards to support the staples. So again, very much worth thinking about. To give a quick rundown of the staples and what they do, you have Summon Knight, creates a normal warrior, Fireball, deals 1 damage to the competitor directly. It's a burn card, kind of on the page. Quick Thinking allows you to draw 1 card. It's your Pot of Greed. Summon Dragon, this actually has overwork on it.
Don't use phrases like burned. Let's not get too into the sauce of TCG lingo.
Fair enough. Summon Dragon, we have an example of overwork here. It creates 1 strong monster, the give-off being that you can create 1 powerful monster, but you can't summon, or you can't use staples or invocations the next turn. Summon Army lets you summon 2 small monsters. I'm gonna say monster and warrior pretty interchangeably. You're just gonna have to live with me on. Salve allows you to heal 1 health. Reconsider is pretty cool. You draw 2 cards and then take 2 cards from the bottom from your hand and put them in the bottom of your deck. Destroy lets you destroy 1 target item or monster. Double Strike lets a warrior attack twice. Magic Weapon strengthens a warrior. Silence allows a warrior or monster the opponent controls to essentially lose all of its effects for the rest of the turn. And Augury allows you to search your deck and put it in your hand, and then search your deck for a card, put it in your hand, then shuffle your deck.
I do want to mention something that a thought I have, and this is kind of an incomplete thought because I haven't played the game, but so you start the game with four cards in your deck, and I forget exactly where it says it, but somewhere in the book it's like generally your deck you want to keep between 4 and 8 cards. That's like roughly where you want to operate. And I'm really curious how that only 4 to 8 is really small, and I'm really curious how that feels because, like, obviously in actual Yu-Gi-Oh, the minimum size of a deck is 40 cards, and in Magic I think it's 60. I think, don't quote me on that. So like the idea of you have like 8, maybe you have 10, like 10 would be big in this game. I'm very curious how your deck is gonna feel when it's really tiny, and because like if you only have 4 cards in your deck, that means you have a 1 in 4 chance of drawing any of your cards as opposed to a 1 in 40. You know what I mean? Like, I'm curious how the math, like, not how the math works so much, but just what the mouth feel is on that, because shuffling a deck of 3 cards is like, it feels a little goofy almost, you know?
It does, yeah, admittedly. It does feel it can feel a little weird, I think. I think that's really where the staples come in, right? Because you technically have unlimited staples of 2 unique types. Technically 3 when you pick your playbook. So, like I said, I think a lot of the game will involve...
Aren't the staples part of the starting 4, though?
No. It's your 4 cards, then you have 3 staples. So your deck is technically 8 cards large. You just don't have to draw 3 of them. It just assumes that they're always in your hand.
Oh. Wait, what? Oh, did I... So staples aren't in your deck like normal?
No.
Oh, I see. Okay. I guess I missed that? Now I'm confused.
Yeah, you can play staples at any time. It just, like, that's why it says, like, your hand is technically only 1 card large on a filler duel, because it just assumes that you've got staples and the rest of your hand.
I see.
Yeah.
That's still okay.
Look,
Again,
this is where I will give to you that it feels a little messy, because your imagination is doing a lot of the work for something that you want to be physical, especially because the game recommends that you create your cards. There is if you go to the perfect draw, we'll link the itch.io stuff in the description, but the game literally comes with a card creation tool, and it's pretty cool. I have it open right here. You essentially no, I was gonna say I do have it. You input all the information you want, right? Its name, its type, its strength, whether or not it's an ace card. You can upload a unique image to it and then fill out the effect and keywords, and it will actually create a card for you. And you can create these and, align them in whatever photo editor of your choice that you want. And then you can just cut them out on paper. And the game does kind of expect you to actually play the TCG while you're playing the game.
Yeah.
Like we said, we talked about how you could do this on a VTT. It would be a lot.
No, I actually don't think it'd be that hard after thinking about it.
You think so?
I think it'd be, just handouts, die rolls to represent draws and shit. I don't actually think it'd be that hard.
Okay.
I mean,
fair enough.
There might be I guess shuffling. I don't know how you do shuffling. Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to sit and tease it out. I think it's doable, but yeah.
Fair enough.
So, yeah. Okay, wait. So then the idea is that draw, like, okay, wait, did I just completely miss it? So playing a staple is like, your staple is almost like an extra deck or some shit. You just whip that shit out whenever the fuck you want.
Pretty much, yeah.
And so, like, fictionally it's part of your deck, but mechanically it's not.
Exactly, yes.
Okay.
So it says it here in the staple section. I was trying to find it. Your staples are not added to your deck or part of your hand. You have access to them without needing to worry about drawing them.
Yeah. I see it. Yeah. Staples are, yeah. Okay. That's weird.
Yeah.
I mean,
like I'll agree with you. That part feels messy to me, because you got some ludonarrative disco biscuits going on.
I mean, my point still mostly stands that I still wonder about the general mouthfeel of having a deck of like only 4 cards. But again, having not played it, this is a unfinished thought. So
yeah, fair enough. After you get into your staples, like I said, you get 2 of them at level 1, plus your 1 from your playbook. We can talk about the, like we said, the actual meat and potatoes, the creating cards system. The first and quickest one to speak of are the pre-made cards. They're just that. Perfect Draw provides 36 pre-made cards that players can pretty easily reflavor or revise into the signature cards of their decks. The game itself suggests that first-time players do exactly that, as it notes that it's generally good practice to study the guidelines that the pre-mades follow when you're designing your own deck. As part of the tables that the pre-mades are assigned to, the rulebook lists some important information that's worth thinking about if and when you want to put your own spin on them. Generally speaking, the cards are designed through a point-buy style method that allows you to effectively pay more for more varied, more powerful effects in a system called effect points.
A somewhat poorly worded point-buy system.
Yeah, it's
there's a couple bits where I had to read it like 3 times. I was like, what the fuck are they trying to say?
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. We'll get to that.
Probably.
The game also explains how, and I like this, it explains how the effect points were purchased based on the card, which I think is pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, for example, if you look at the pre-made Battle Dancer card,
describe.
Yeah. If you look at the Battle Dancer card, underneath the actual card itself, it says Weak Warrior, worth 3 effect points. Additional attack equals powerful 2, and it's consistent.
No. Weak warrior has the budget of 3 effect points.
That's what I mean. Maybe I didn't word it right, but that's what I meant.
The additional attack cost powerful 2 and consistent 1.
Yes.
Which is where your budget of 3 went.
Yes, exactly.
That's kind of what I'm talking about. They worded the cost and the budget are both called effect points, and I really think that was a bad decision.
Mm-hmm. Another nice little point that they give you is that at the bottom of each pre-made card page, you get a little keyword cheat sheet. Another reason why I wanted to add that part there. After we get to that, a small final point is, the game offers you some pretty easy, simple solutions for how it wants you to reflavor the cards. So, for example, the one that they give is giving the scout the blocker keyword, essentially turning a light attacker into a quick intercept unit that you can have take attacks for monsters if you don't want them to be destroyed. They also talk about the battle dancer being turned into an invocation rather than a warrior, especially if you have a deck that focuses a lot on using spell casting and is buffed by your ace cards. After pre-mades, we have the big kahuna, the Mac Daddy, the long dick of the law that is the card creation system. This system is maybe not surprisingly in-depth, horrifyingly in-depth, painfully in-depth. It's very in-depth. Using the aforementioned effect point system, as well as notes and general rules of thumb to follow when creating.
So the important thing we gotta make sure we phrase here: effect point budget, and then effect point cost, because the book does not do a great job of distinguishing those two statements. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I agree with you that it's messy. I don't think it that tripped me up particularly, but I can understand how.
So like for example, there's the little chart, right? It says like a weak warrior 3 EP, and for a minute there, I was like, wait, why does a weak warrior cost more effect points than a strong warrior? No, it's saying a weak warrior has a higher effect point budget than a strong warrior. But
yes.
Again, because they use the word effect points to mean both the cost and the budget and do not add any distinctification on that, confusion. So I'm saying when we're talking about it, we want to try and be clear.
Fair enough. Yes, I get what you're saying. Where was it? Yeah, sorry. It provides some interesting rules of thumb when creating the effects, which are, for the most part, pretty free form. And
very free form.
It allows you to create a balancing scale, in which case you can give those freeform effects an effect point rating. When creating a card, the game suggests that you do the following when you're doing so. Decide what the card's type is, be it a warrior, item, or invocation, how strong that card is, weak, normal, or strong, and whether or not it's your ace card. This process is detailed in the defining your card section. Describe any cards you'd like to give, any effects you'd like your new card to have. This and the following are defined in the giving your card effects section. Figure out whether or not your card leads into your deck's gimmick. Figure out whether or not how powerful the card is, figuring out how versatile the card is, and whether or not the effect you're creating is consistent. Once all that's done, you can rehash and revise the card, adding weaknesses as necessary, and this is finally described in the refining your card section. So much.
Can I just point out the versatile thing? I don't.
Oh, brother, I talk about it.
I do not understand what they're trying to say. I really don't. I tried like
I think I figured it out. I think I did figure it out.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. To the first part though, defining your card, pretty simple process. Like I said, choosing between the 3 card types. Each card begins with a separate number of effect points that you are allowed to spend in character or in card
effect
creation.
Points budget.
Yes, that's what I said. Like what you can spend.
I know. I'm trying to make it really clear because it gets real confusing real quick.
Okay. Each card
the three
shows
card
you its
type,
allotted effect points budget.
The 3 card types also warrior, item, and invocation. Just as a reminder for those.
I said that.
No, you didn't. You just said the 3 card types.
Yeah, I said it in the previous bullet.
Well, I didn't hear you say it.
Oh, God. Anyway, the way it works is off rip. Warriors have an effect point budget of 3 for weak, 2 for normal, and 0 for strong. Items have 4 for weak, 3 for normal, and 1 for strong, and invocations have a steady 3 effect point budget. It can't go any higher or less than that. I don't exactly remember if you can make an invocation your ace card. I think you can. In which case,
I think you could, yeah.
Invocations, that is to your ace card, which is to say the signature card that your deck is built around, by default is allowed to be stronger than other cards, and as such is given 1 extra point allotted to its budget, and it's expected that you're allowed to be a little more lenient when designing its effect.
I forget, are you only ever allowed to have 1 ace, period? I don't remember if it says.
If so you can add more aces to your deck, but the second you add another ace, your first ace loses its tag, and you might have to do some work with the judge to, mellow out its effect, because it's no longer your strongest card.
Let's see.
I suppose you don't necessarily have to. It doesn't necessarily say anywhere that you would have to do that, but you can assume based on this system that it loses that effect point budget piece, so you're going to have to do a little work on it. On the topic of giving cards effects, it allows you to spend the aforementioned effect points to fulfill your effect point budget to power up your card. When doing so, the amount of effect points an ability would have is reduced to a simplified equation with the following parameters. Be prepared for lists within lists on this one. It's going to get a little deep. I'm just going to trust y'all to follow along, and if not, I don't know. You're going to be doing some rewinding. Edie what edie. Keep note that the cards are made at the table, in front of, and with the judge as a cooperative endeavor. So you're going to be doing a lot of back and forth. The first question asked is...
the idea of that, I'm already tired.
Well, so you're not supposed to do it in a heated moment, right? I know. The recover move, that's kind of when players can sit down and design new cards, and it's going to be like a session long thing.
Right,
if every player at the table wants to design a card, it's going to take a little while.
Yeah,
maybe not a session long, but it's going to take an hour or two.
It's something you want to do between sessions if you can, for sure.
Yeah. The first parameter is, does the effect lean into my gimmick? That reduces the cost. Well, it's weird. So it says it reduces. This is where I'll give Josh it. It doesn't reduce one of my your points. Budget. It increases your budget by 1.
It increases your budget by reducing the cost of the effect itself.
Yes.
It's worded so... I don't know why they didn't just say plus... Again, why they didn't just use the word fucking budget in this entire section, I do not understand. It really bothered me because it left me confused multiple times.
I got to give credit where credit's due. Yeah, no, it is worded a little oddly. This is where I will give Josh the messy argument. How powerful the effect is, and it costs 1 effect point per instance of powerful. We'll explain that later. Versatile, how versatile it is. 1 effect per instance of versatile. We'll explain that again. And then consistent. That is just 1 effect point. It cannot get any higher or lower.
Yeah,
the
so
gimmick
each of those
question is by far the simplest. It probably requires the least explanation. You just describe to your judge how you feel the card fits into your deck gimmick, and they will sort of back and forth with you a little bit until it's agreed upon, how the card works. And if you can do it successfully, as we said, your effect budget is increased by 1. You were saying something?
I'm okay. I'm fine with the does it lean into my gimmick mechanic, because obviously in terms of invoking Yu-Gi-Oh, like the anime and shit like that, it absolutely makes sense to have this mechanic. But I can for sure see the arguments getting started over whether or not the effect leans into your gimmick. And the headache, I can feel the headaches. Like,
I think, honestly, I think a lot of it just has to boil down to the judge being like, yeah, okay. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Which that is the tact you should take. I don't know. All the other things you have to like come up with and go back and forth on. Like, I could just see the does it lean into my gimmick one? I feel like in particular, I could see sparking debates.
Well, you could have an interesting thing too, where a character has a card that specifically doesn't play into their budget. And I know in terms of meta, that is the less effective thing to have.
Yes.
But if you, for example, wanted like I think about Skull Dice and Graceful Dice, Joey's cards that increase your monster's attack and decrease the opponent's. Uh-huh. If your deck isn't about buffing and debuffing, it's just about doing doing burn damage, it makes sense for you to be like, well, most of your abilities revolve around damaging the enemy directly, not buffing your cards up, so I would say this doesn't fit into your gimmick. And then, a player can be like, okay, well, what if it doesn't do damage directly, but it does let my monster get the sniper property so I can bypass my opponent's defenses and attack them directly. And then the judge can be like, okay, that works. You know what I mean? I think that's kind of how it's intended to work.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, I get how it's intended to work. I'm not even necessarily against the mechanic. I remember reading it and thinking to myself, like, oh boy, this one's going to spark some fucking Reddit horror stories.
It can. It definitely can. I'll give you that. After the gimmick question, we have the topic of a card's power effect, or the power of a card's effect, rather.
How powerful the effect is.
Yes. In order to calculate whether or not the card is receiving the powerful keyword, which it's not an official keyword, but it should be because they treat it like one, it's capitalized like one, it's a proper noun like one, the effect has to run through a series of prompts. The first one is, does it grant additional card advantage? And if you didn't want to get into TCG terminology, we've officially failed the assignment. Card advantage, essentially just whether or not it lets you draw a card, lets you play an additional card, lets you destroy an opponent's card.
Card advantage is just literally, I have more cards at my disposal than you have, which is a combination of cards on the field and cards in your hand. There can be some extra nuance to it, but that's like the baseline.
I had to look that up. I didn't know it off the top of my head.
Yeah. It's just, do I have more cards than you have?
Yeah. So, yeah, whether or not it grants additional card advantage, whether or not it brings you closer to winning by creating monsters, strengthening warriors, dealing damage, whether or not it makes it harder for your opponent to win by gaining life, granting significant protections, or providing you an item that can do the same, whether or not it changes the rules of the game by making your opponent unable to attack, changing what's allowed to happen on this turn, and finally, does it present a problem that needs to be resolved by making victory inevitable or by making winning impossible? With each check of the above prompts, the effect gains one instance of the keyword powerful. That correlates to one effect point of cost against the budget. So, i.e., if a card has powerful 3, its cost is automatically at least 3 effect points.
Yeah.
The game does provide guidelines later on for calculating power, things like assuming law of averages for luck tests and how many warriors are ideally on any side of the field, what turn it is, how many cards you have. It gets a little into the weeds, but for the most part...
Gets a lot into the weeds, I would say.
It does give you some tips on balancing when deciding power. On to versatility. Because this shit is confusing. It is probably the trickiest part of this system, and essentially, when determining versatility, the more scenarios in which case a card can be utilized, the more versatile it becomes, and therefore follows the same instancing method of powerful. Now, it could be due to my lack of general knowledge with TCGs, but given Josh's response, I think not. But I can easily foresee a card that is either more or less versatile than expected and would probably therefore require 1 or 2 instances of tweaking after the card is created, just to see how it goes. When figuring out versatile, the game maintains that you should be doing so, like we said, with a certain number of warriors, items, or a mix, 2 cards in the hand on round 2.
This is the thing. I really don't understand what they're trying to say here. So I'm just gonna read this verbatim here. Generally, effects are considered versatile in Perfect Draw when they're likely to give you the option to do multiple things when you use them, or if the same card can be used in multiple different ways. Okay, fine. Knowing whether a card is likely to give you options can sometimes be dependent on how the game has progressed. But if you would have a choice of effects, targets, uses under the following conditions, then you should consider it versatile. Both you and your opponent have either 2 warriors and 1 item, or 1 warrior and 2 items, whichever would make it cost more effect points. I do not understand what that bullet point is trying to say. What do you mean by make it cost more effect points? And how does that relate to the level of I don't understand I don't understand how you're supposed to gauge the level of versatile.
So I think a little bit of information on this is found in the choice effects paragraph below it, in that little blurb, which says, note that if your effect allows for a choice of several modes, you only need to cost it at an amount of powerful equal to the mode that's the most powerful of them. For example, if an effect allows you to either gain 2 life or destroy a warrior an opponent controls, then it would be counted as powerful 2 to match the gain 2 life effect. However, it would also cost the options for you would also cost the options for if either of them are versatile or consistent. In this case, because the user can destroy any of the opponent's warriors, the effect of the choice would also be considered versatile, making it a total cost of 4 EP. Powerful 2, versatile, versatile.
See, how is that 2 versatiles?
So I guess the idea is because
versatile?
It can do... yeah, that's a good point. You right? Get the idea of what it's supposed to mean, right? If it's the how many effects are in the effect. If it allows you to heal or destroy, that would make it versatile. But why it's versatile 2, I'm not exactly sure.
That's what I mean. And then when it talks about the bullet points of both you and your opponent have either 2 warriors and 1 item, or 1 warrior and 2 items, whichever makes it cost more, like in regards to what? Like, then the other option says, if you have 2 cards in your hand, it's turn 2, and both you and your opponent have either 2 or 5 life, whichever would make it cost more effect points. And because it says whether.
Wait. Okay, no, I think I got it. I think I figured it out.
Do you?
Yes, I do.
Go for it.
So I think that second versatile is a typo. I think it's supposed to be powerful, versatile, consistent, because it references consistency and how either of the effects are considered consistent. So to me, I think that second versatile is a typo, and what it's saying is that when you're accounting for powerful, you choose the strongest effect, and that becomes the power rating of the effect. Because the card has 2 abilities, it gains versatile 1, and because it can destroy any monster, it becomes consistent 1.
That's not a consistent effect.
I mean, based on what the game describes as consistent, it is.
I don't think that's what that's saying.
Look, your guess is as good as mine, but that's what makes the most sense to me.
And I'm not even talking about that box. I'm still talking about the bullet points above. Because it says, knowing whether a card is likely to give you Knowing whether a card is likely to give you options can sometimes be dependent on how the game has progressed. But if you would have a choice of effects under the following conditions. So I understand it's saying if you have a choice of effects when these conditions are met, but I don't understand what that parentheses, whichever would make it cost more EP is supposed to mean. Like, wouldn't it cost the same amount of effect points regardless of the exact situation? If you're considering it versatile?
No, not necessarily. I guess the idea is that you're taking into account the effect points of the possibilities. So if you have 2 warriors, it could be 1 weak warrior, 1 strong warrior, 2 weak, 1 1 weak, 1 normal, and 1 item. So there can be some fluctuation. They won't always equal the same amount.
That doesn't it doesn't make any sense. I don't understand what they're trying to get at.
Like I said, I think what versatile just means is how many effects it has.
I get the basic premise of versatile, but I don't understand how you're supposed to calculate it.
Fair enough. I don't have enough information to
I guess part of what
anyway.
I guess part of what it's saying is if there's 2 separate effects to choose from, that's 2 instances of versatile because it's 2 effects, not 1 instance of versatile because it's 1 choice.
No, so that's what I'm saying is I don't think that second use of versatile is a second use of versatile. I think it's consistent.
No, I think it is. I don't think that's a typo. Because so it's saying, okay, if you have an effect that would either allow you to gain 2 life or destroy a card, I think what it's saying is you have 2 effects for an option, so that's versatile too, because you gave yourself 2 options. And that's why it's saying powerful 2, versatile.
Right, but
each individual effect is 1 instance of versatile, not the choice between them. They don't get grouped together, I think is what it's trying to say.
Right. I see what you're saying. My only retort to that is, by that metric, every card with an effect automatically would become versatile, but that's not the case. For example, if you look at the Berserker's Might card, Invocation on page 68, target warrior is strengthened and gains Piercer 1 until the end of your turn. So it's an invocation worth 3, has a budget of 3 points, given strength, or gives strengthen and Piercer. So if it's strengthen counts for 2. And it gets 1 versatile because it has 1 effect and another effect.
No. It has... Yeah, but the and is the versatile. The strengthened is the powerful, and the and is the versatile.
Right, but in the description, or in the piece described by the choice effects, it either does 2 damage or it heals 2 damage. Then there's no reason why it'd be versatile. Like, it'd have 2 instances of versatile. Rather, it would just say versatile 2 because we know it follows the same rules as versatile, which is why I think it's consistent. Because it shouldn't say versatile. It would say powerful 2, versatile 2.
Well, no, it wouldn't say versatile 2 because I don't think they list versatile in that way.
They do. It says it right above it. Effects can become versatile 2 or more if they are likely to give the user 3 or more options.
But do any of the pre-made cards have versatile 2 as it phrased that? I don't.
Do versatile 2?
I don't think they do. No, they just have versatile. It's just a yes or no. Oh no! Oh, I found one. Yeah. Invoke Duel says versatile 2.
Okay, yeah. So I'm leaning towards that second versatile is a typo, and it should say consistent. Because nothing else has that double listing.
I don't, but that still doesn't really answer my question. Okay, I don't know. I can't make sense of this. I got nothing. Doesn't make sense. Something is not worded correctly.
I will look the answer up after we're done recording, because I do want an answer to this. That being said, moving on to the third effect, which is much simpler than this, is consistency. Yeah. Consistency is the final factor you have to take into account when gauging a card's effect strength. Consistency, I think, requires very little explanation. The more reliable the card's effect is, the more resistant it is to opposing effects, the less setup it requires, the more consistent it's considered, generally speaking. That being said, a card can only have one instance of consistent. It either is or is not. It doesn't stack.
I was looking at Invoke Duel to try and figure out why that's considered versatile too, and I don't even understand why that's considered versatile too. That seems like one option to me. I'm crashing out, dude. Invoke Duel, it's an invocation on page 69. Nice.
Yeah. Nice.
It says target warrior battles another target warrior. If they would roll to clash, they are both destroyed instead. You may choose 2 opposing warriors with this effect. How is that a versatile 2 option? There's no choice there. It just does that. Right? Like, what do we I guess because you could choose the warriors, but even in that case, how is that not versatile 1?
I guess the idea is
I don't like.
So it's weird. It's almost like one versatile is folded into the other one, because your versatile 1 would come in the target 2, and then the initial if they clash, they're both destroyed. But it also becomes versatile because you can choose. So I guess the idea is if they didn't have that final sentence, you may choose, it would just connect with one creature. It would it would be a random creature, I guess. I guess the idea being is that because they talk about the clash clause, the fact that you can choose means that you can make it so that it doesn't destroy your monster as well. You can just choose a stronger monster, which is where the second instance of versatile comes in.
But it still should be. Shouldn't that still be a case of versatile 1?
No, I guess.
As I'm saying, like, I don't get it. I guess we gotta move on. We're not figuring this out here.
No, yeah, we probably aren't. It's fine though. Once your card's effect and your effect point costs have been broadly worked out, next step is revision, as described in the Revising Your Card Effects. The game suggests working with your judge to bring the card's effect into a more into compliance with your allotted budget. This can take a while, and it's often best to find a way to compromise by giving a card weaknesses to reduce its overall effectiveness. For every weakness that you give the card, it will reduce one of the instances For each instance of a weakness that you give the card, that will reduce one of its pillars of effect or modifies them to a meaningful hindrance, you can reduce the cost of or you can increase your budget rather by 1 point. If a significant weakness is introduced, which is to say one that severely hinders a card's performance, it can be increased by 2 to a maximum of 3, because it says 1 and 2 respectively, not 1 or 2. That being said, be careful not to try to not make your card like a jumbled mess of text that's like 0.5 size font. Don't make an Egyptian god card where you need like a magnifying glass to read it.
Egyptian cards actually aren't that bad.
No, you're right. They're not. I've seen some more modern cards, and those are absolute nightmares.
Horrifying cards. Like you ain't. Yeah, bro. Pendulum monsters have 2 different effect boxes.
What? No.
Yeah, because they that's pendulum monsters. Pendulum monsters act as effect cards, as effect monsters, and as spell cards. They're both.
Bro, what the fuck am I looking at?
Yeah.
I like that the effect takes up almost half the card.
Yeah.
That's
fuck
insane.
the card art. We don't need that. We got text.
Have you seen the Chaos Emperor Dragon of Armageddon?
Probably.
Hold on. I'm gonna post this in general in our look at this fucking nightmare of a card.
All right, don't get too sidetracked, sir. Oh, yeah.
Look, that's all I wanted to say. That's wild.
Yeah.
That's absolutely insane. Anyway, as a precaution, the game suggests 2 rule of thumbs when creating card effects. The first of which is avoid parasitic effects. Essentially, try to avoid creating cards that simply cannot function with other tightly knit cards, or without them, sorry. Cards
This was a slightly weird comment. They're basically saying don't make archetypes, which I thought was a little odd.
No, I think what they're saying more specifically is like a, what's that red eyes card where it's like, this cannot be normal summoned or special summoned unless you have red eyes black chick to summon it from your graveyard, and then you can summon it.
That's an archetype. The archetype would be red eyes black whatever. Like,
right, but the parasitic effect is saying don't create a card that requires that sacrifice from the graveyard to summon.
But that's what archetypes are. Like, archetypes are effects that only proc on other cards of the same archetype. Like, that's what most Yu-Gi-Oh decks are in the modern era, is they're archetype based. So like, you don't have like a deck of stuff. You have a 6 samurai deck. You have Dino Rabbit deck. You have what were they called? Gearbox, Gear something or others, Gear Toys. Oh, wind-ups, that's what the fuck I was trying to think of. You have wind-ups, like there are archetypes that have effects that all key off of each other, and this is basically saying don't have effects that specifically key off of each other in that way, which is pretty much what an archetype is in Yu-Gi-Oh!
I think it's saying, you can have, it seems like to me what it's saying is you can have cards that key off each other, but don't have cards that literally cannot survive without the other.
It's kind of the same thing.
Yes, but there are degrees of it.
I mean,
to be honest, I don't necessarily know if I could tell you, like, if I designed an effect or if a player was designing effects. I don't know if I could 100% tell you if the effect was parasitic or not, but I feel like I could.
Well, I mean, if you just look at the sample cards that they have for the playbooks, those, they have archetypes by name, but their effects are not archetype based. Like, what they're talking about is, for example, something along the lines of, if you play Dark Worlds, if you have a Dark World card in your hand and you send this Dark World card to your graveyard, you may then special summon it the next turn. Like, that's a parasitic effect, because the idea is you need something else to make the effect work. So they're saying avoid that archetype synergy and make cards that are slightly more generic, basically, and don't have to specifically, that don't need like if then clauses from other cards. Like, if you look at the sample starting decks for all of the playbooks, you'll see how none of the cards, even though they'll give them the same names, they do not have an effect that calls out each other, which is really what it comes down to.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
Like, if you look at those,
I guess to that point, I guess what they are saying is you want to use the keywords to reinforce archetypes
not
archetypes. Use the keywords to reinforce archetypes. Don't use effects to reinforce archetypes.
Don't use effects, and don't make like literal archetype combos, which is how the actual TCG works. Like, you'll see, particularly when you look at archetype cards in modern Yu-Gi-Oh, it'll say like the name of the archetype in parentheses. It'll be like, if you have a wind-up card in your hand, and the word wind-up will be in parentheses because wind-up is an archetype. Hilariously, none of the, well, no, Jaden, the elemental heroes are an archetype. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Although I don't think any of the other main characters have had archetypes like that, weirdly. Yugi definitely doesn't. Jaden has elemental heroes. Yuma doesn't.
Yusei does.
No, he doesn't.
Yes, he does.
I don't think so. What would be the archetype?
The junk archetype.
No, see, but that's the thing though. Those aren't actually an archetype.
No, they are, because there are cards in Yusei's deck. I played the junk deck. There are cards in the deck that specifically proc off of the junk keyword.
Sort of. Okay, we're too in the weeds. We don't. This is too much in the weeds on the game itself, so we don't need to worry. I played this deck. But I know, but it's kind of not exactly an archetype. I don't have time to get into it, but it's kind of not.
Okay. Wait, it's a structure deck. They sell it as a structure. Is that not? Is that not indicative of an archetype?
No.
What the fuck?
It's a very specific thing that really only applies to modern Yu-Gi-Oh! And it really only started to being a thing like halfway through post 5, halfway and or post 5Ds.
Weird.
Yusei has a little bit of it, kind of. Jaden is the main character with the most true archetype deck. Let's put it that way.
Okay, fair enough. Where was I? Oh yeah, okay. The second rule of thumb is, God damn it, I so jumbled my notes on this one. The second rule of thumb is don't try too hard to win. Basically, don't create cards with the sole intent of making them as meta powerful as possible. Don't make cards that can, I think the example it gives is don't create a card that it has the sniper keyword and deals 3 damage because that the opponents typically have 3 HP, so you can just drop this card round 1 and auto kill them. Don't do cards like that. And it is sort of expecting a level of trust between the game designers, the judge, and the player. And fair enough.
Yeah.
Finally, in terms of the custom card creation,
I do like that I do like that the game very specifically called out, yes, given how the card creation rules are, you can just automatically make a card that it's funny because when you're playing tabletop games, right, this is always true for the GM. The GM can always just be like, the ceiling collapses on the player characters and everyone dies, right? A GM can technically say that at any time they want. But as the GM, from a social contract standpoint, you're not supposed to do that. That's a shitty thing to do. Because this game puts so much power in the player's hand by allowing you to design your own deck, they're basically saying, hey player, you have a power level on par with the GM. So just like the GM isn't abusing their power, don't abuse yours.
Yeah, the game, in nicer phrase, the game is saying, don't be a dick.
Yeah, don't be that guy, because we know you could, basically, this game is very much not designed for assholes, because assholes could ruin it very quickly.
Mm-hmm. See, this is, to be fair, this is the kind of designing for assholes I like, where it just says, don't be an asshole. It doesn't try to,
it's
over-design the cards.
It's not even designing for assholes. It's designing however the fuck they want and then saying, fuck off if you're going to be that guy.
Yeah, fair enough.
But anyway, I thought that little bit was especially funny because, again, as a GM, I'm always in that mentality. So it's kind of funny to see a game be like, players, don't do it.
Don't do it. Yeah.
Don't do it. You also have the responsibility in this game.
Look, I'm not going to lie. A part of me feels a little called out by this because if anyone was going to figure out the meta to insta-kill the opponent, it's probably going to me be. Now, to be fair, I'm not saying I would do that. But if it was going to be someone, it probably would be me.
The thing that's funny is it's really fucking easy to do in this game. So,
yeah, it is.
It's not even that impressive if you do it.
They literally say it. They're like, yeah, you could really easily make an invocation that does more damage than the opponent has health.
Yeah, you just win.
Yeah, and that's not fun. And like I was saying, finally, in terms of custom card creation, the game has several illegal effects that, for the sake of game balance and general flow, the game system tells you just straight up, don't do this. The four that they have are, do not create effects that create new unique cards. The game essentially says that there are systems in place for this, and they should be kept to unique moments. Second is, do not create card effects that affect the world outside the game. The cards themselves are not superpowers. They shouldn't be treated as superpowers. Basically, I'm looking at you, Bakura, with your Change of Heart shadow game in Duelist Kingdom. Don't do that. The third rule is do not create card effects that are reliant on variables outside of the game, i.e., don't create cards that require times of the day to be played or specific actions that can be taken place outside of the game. This is primarily for balance purposes, and there are playbook effects that simulate this, admittedly to a lesser degree, but if you want that feel, there's a playbook move that you can take for it. Finally, do not create cards that connect specifically to a character's stats, such as tying a card's strength. I kept trying to say trying. Tying a card's strength to a specific stat or forcing rolls with a specific attribute. So basically saying a card cannot force a player to roll with a specific stat on one of their moves. Clear? Fair? Good? Good. The final card creation type is volatile card creation, and it is...
this shit is so funny.
It is wild, yeah.
This mechanic really just made me think about how Yugi was always pulling out the Makiyu's magical mist or whatever.
Fucking, I was waiting for that Makiyu to come up at some point.
And how that card just does whatever the fuck Yugi says it does.
Makiyu, the magical mist! Yeah, it's magic because it can do fucking anything.
It's magic mist because it's whatever, its effect is whatever the hell Yugi wants.
Yes, this dragon is fire attributed. Will my mist deactivates your fire? Oh, wait.
Yeah.
This, my character is lightning infused. Oh, so it's going to increase its damage. Oh,
my favorite.
This character is using light
to see. That's close to the actual effect. Do you know what the actual effect of the card is?
Yeah, we looked it up yesterday. If you have lightning, if you have
if you have summon skull or a thunder monster in your monster zone,
yeah, right.
Destroy all of your opponent's destroy all monsters your opponent controls with defense less than or equal to the attack of that monster, and then you cannot conduct your battle phase. So like, it's a terrible card.
Mm-hmm.
It's like not worth it all, but yeah, it's kind of a funny like, LOL fuck you card to play, I guess.
It really is. Volatile card creation is, as the game describes, a streamlined method for creating complex card abilities in the heat of the moment. Essentially, when a player uses the draw a perfect card move, the game suggests that, rather than go through the previously described long, arduous process for creating a custom card, you instead describe to the judge the effect that you want the card to have, as well as some basic information, its type, strength, and general effect parameters. And with the judge's input, you hash out the finer details. The books
basically you pull a card out of your ass to do exactly the effect you want, and the effect can be kind of bullshit when you pull it out of your ass. And then after you're done with the session, you go back and make it an actually balanced card.
Yes, that is the really important part. The card is allowed to be pretty much as OP as you want it to be
pretty
for the duel that
it.
you first pull it out in.
Yeah.
But upon completion, the card needs to be heavily revised to fit within the effect point system.
I do love that they literally put in an ass pull mechanic, because that really is the truest like mechanic you could possibly have for a fucking TCG tabletop game. Like, it don't get more real than that.
It's true. It really is. Some information that I didn't put in my notes, but they do talk about, if you have a situation where your volatile card doesn't really fit into the effect points system, the game offers you a couple options. You can either scrap the card and just design a new card and name it the same thing if you really can't get it to work, or you could just not have the card in your deck and then describe in the narrative what happened to it. Maybe you get the Weevil Underwood thrown into the water maneuver. So, the book basically says try to balance it, but it recognizes that sometimes maybe that's just not going to happen, and there are other options, which again could involve replacing the card entirely and just having it do something completely different, or just saying for the sake of the game it's removed.
Yeah.
And that was the card creation system. That was 4 pages of notes. And let's see, we faffed for 20 minutes. So that was an hour. That was a full hour. of our 2-hour episode allotted to that system. Hell yeah, dude. I love that.
I do think
chapter 4.
I think it is kind of funny. It seems like the card creation system really assumes that like downtime between sessions, your characters are just getting rid of cards, selling cards, buying new cards, adjusting their deck. Like you're just constantly, you're gonna be like removing and changing your cards in your deck kind of a lot, especially because you have the whole draw the perfect card move where you ass pull whatever the fuck you need.
And I mean, it does talk about that. Like,
you might ass pull a card you need and then not want it later. So you're just like, oh, what'd you do with that card you played? I just got rid of it. It's
no, literally, it talks about that in the lore section where like there are card shops all over Shuffle City, and like it's not uncommon for your players to be like, oh, I'm gonna go do some trades real quick.
I mean, yeah, it makes sense in the context, but it's still funny to think about.
On to chapter 4, which is character creation. As you can assume, it describes the process in which the PCs can create their characters, well as giving you the player information about what your playbook is like and allowing you to pick some of the options involved. Generally speaking, it's pretty by the numbers as far as a PBTA playbook is concerned, but there are a number of fun additions as well. For example, and I'm sure other PBTA games have done this, and I maybe Apocalypse World did this, I don't exactly remember, but each playbook comes with a section dedicated to how that specific playbook should be handled within the narrative in the game, both for the PCs and for the judge.
No, Apocalypse World does not do that.
Huh?
I said no, Apocalypse World does not do that.
It gives tips on how players should generally leverage their attributes and how to allow the themes of that playbook to bypass their natural habits as players for the sake of the character and the narrative at large. As far as the judges are concerned, it provides the opposite to this. It gives judges information about not only how to handle a particular playbook, but also how to handle playbook-specific moves and how they shift the story as a whole. There is a section, a bit in the section after this, that talks about how to maintain your party of playbooks in short-term campaigns. It's pretty much just a little bit more information within this scope. Like some playbooks might not duel in a short campaign. That's not really their purpose. They could have a deck, it could happen, but it's not necessarily a fact that it should happen or that it will happen. Stuff like that. As an addition, each playbook comes with a pre-made deck and a gimmick for players who just want to jump into the action, and each has a unique archetype, it has a unique gimmick, and frankly, it's crazy how much fun they managed to make each deck seem. Like, truly, that's impressive.
Yeah.
At the start of the game, during character creation, when you pick your playbook, obviously, like other PBTA games, you get to increase one of your stats by 1. You give them an identity and pronouns, give them a look. Pretty common PBTA fare. After that, you get to create your deck archetype, as well as the naming conventions for their gimmick and the unique cards. This all happens during character creation. There are a number of gimmicks listed that you can choose from. So strong thing by weak thing, strong thing but weak thing, strong thing with weak thing, reacquirement to strong thing, weak thing helped by strong thing, strategy using strong thing or weak thing, and simple effect or keyword. I know that doesn't make sense right now, but it will describe it when we get to the playbooks, so I figured it was worth mentioning. As far as they go, you have 10 playbooks to choose from in the base rulebook, and I think an additional 7 or 8. No, like 5 or 6. I think there's like 6 in the booster pack add-on book that they created a little while back.
Oh, I don't know. I didn't see that, but yeah, there's 10 in the base game.
Yeah. The playbooks are, as described, the Resolved, the Prodigy, the Glowing, the Rogue, the Ally, the Spirit, the Medium, the Destined, the Idealist, and the Turncoat. And we're going to go through and just give some quick points on each of those. Anything you want to say before we get into the weeds?
No, I mean, there's not much. I don't think there's much to say on character creation. It works pretty much like any other Powered by the Apocalypse character creation that you're used to. So there's nothing crazy there.
Fair enough. Okay.
Other than obviously, I mean, other than the fact that they give you the sample decks, obviously, which could be, quite useful. And I guess the tension question. Well, those aren't really character creation though. But yeah, like the sample decks are helpful, and then the how to role play and how to run the various playbooks is kind of interesting additional information.
I feel like that, like,
it's not a specific mechanic per se, but yeah.
No, but I feel like when it comes to Powered by the Apocalypse games, like right in D&D, this I don't think works as much because your class is sort of irrelevant to the, like, or, in the game's eyes, your class is kind of irrelevant to the idea of your character, right? Like, you could be a rogue in terms of your stats, but you could be literally anything else. You know what I mean? The game doesn't really care about that. But as far as playbooks go, because they're so intrinsically linked to the character and how you play the character, I feel like that should almost be a gold standard for game designers, you know?
I mean, not sort of. If you're talking about new age, more recent Powered by the Apocalypse games, that's kind of true, where the playbooks are stereotypical archetypes. But if you're talking about older Powered by the Apocalypse games, I don't think that's the case so much.
You don't? I mean, like, if you think about OG Powered by the Apocalypse, if you're playing the driver, right, like
the driver is inspired by Mad Max, obviously, but it is not so intrinsically core based on Mad Max that you can't play anything else within it. You can play lots of different kinds of drivers. There's a lot of wiggle room there. But if you're playing something like Avatar, where you have your playbook is like what the fuck's it called? There's a playbook that's like literally supposed to be Aang, like without being the Avatar part, but like other than that is clearly just Aang as a playbook. And yeah, for that game,
it's what they call the Idealist.
It might be. Like for that game, yeah, it makes sense, but it doesn't, like, it's like half yes, half no kind of thing is kind of where I'm getting at. Like, if you're making archetypes based on characters with the intention of invoking the character straight up, then yes. But in terms of if you're taking inspiration from a character, but not necessarily saying you have to play this character, like, this game is pretty clearly trying to be like, yes, each playbook maps to a character, like, really closely. That is not necessarily the case in original Apocalypse World.
So I kind of disagree on that, because like when you use the driver archetype, as we mentioned, right? Yes, you can play a bunch of different kind of drivers, but ultimately you are a character who is the core tenet of their personality is the fact that they have a car in the apocalypse. They have a special car. So giving information to the players on how you should treat your car, assuming you're playing the game how the game expects you to play, and for the MC on how they should treat that car, I feel like that's not outside their own possibility. Same thing with like the gun lugger, right? Like, you get your cool special gun.
It's not necessarily. Well, the special guns aren't. They're a little more generic than that. They're not that special, but it's not necessarily outside of their own possibility. I don't think it's particularly needed. I don't think it's mandatory.
Fair enough. I think it should be gold standard, but I if you disagree, that's fine.
I for this game, I think it makes a little more sense, because again, this game is trying to invoke a niche on a niche on a niche. So giving some guidance on how to make the niche work, I get a little bit more. But I
disagree. Fair enough. But like,
I definitely know. I'm not looking for it in every game. That's for sure.
I would like it in at least in PBTA games. I would like it. That being said, we're going to start off with the first playbook, the Resolved. The Resolved is your Jaden, your Yuma, your happy-go-lucky, headstrong. Actually, for the shonen people out there, it's Naruto.
MC.
Yeah, it's Naruto. Yeah, it's the headstrong, brash, a little clumsy, but like good-natured person. Ash Ketchum is another one.
Yugi?
No, Yugi's too timid for that. Like, actual Yugi's too timid for that, and a 10 is definitely just the Destined. I would say Yugi's more the Destined than this.
I thought the Destined was just supposed to be Merrick.
No, it's actually not. The Destined is like you are bound for a greater purpose. No, there is one in the booster pack that's closer to Merrick because it's like you have an evil spirit specifically.
But isn't Merrick wasn't that kind of part of Merrick's thing? Like he was supposed to be bound for a greater purpose, but he like fucked it up. Wasn't that?
No, Merrick just has schizophrenia, like straight up. He just has multiple personality disorder.
Fair enough.
That being said, the options you get for things like your hair, I'm not going to go into all of them, but like just to give you a thought for those of you who might not be familiar with Powered by the Apocalypse games, you get to choose your look, or let me start with the stats. I think that's important. Your stats are Passion 2, Skill -1, Friendship 1. We described those in the previous episode. As far as your look goes, the Resolve's hair can be scruffy, long, haircut by mum, which I think kind of clues us into who made the people who made this. Their clothes can be a school uniform, well padded, or a graphic tee. Their game tool, which is to say their dual disc, can be secondhand, shoddy, or common. The archetype is their abilities are all about having like cards that you care truly about, or having like an unbreakable will, having a mentor that you look up to, being able to leverage your straight up determination to win, to pull you a dub. It's pretty cool. They do have a funny move called the Trainer's Eyes Meet, which I just love the idea. It's literally the shot in something like Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Shonen where it's just a slash cut of the two opposing forces like staring at each other intently. I think it's kind of fun. They give you some information on role-playing the Resolve. It basically talks about how when you are playing the Resolved as a playbook, you should always strive for a goal that's just out of reach, especially at the start of your adventure, right? You want I want to be the very best that like no one ever was, but you don't necessarily know exactly how to do that, and you should lean into it. Obviously, your judge should make that possible for you at some point, but it's okay to be clueless on it at the start, and it's okay to play into your own well-meaning but ultimately like reckless naivete. That's why you get a +2 in things like Passion, which is to say you're good at getting into trouble, but you're also good at headstronging your way out of trouble. Your -1 to skill means that sometimes you come off as incompetent. The anime cutaway character falling on his face randomly in front of the cool badass character. It recommends that the character traits that you should embody are being knuckleheaded and starstruck, headstrong, naive, and impulsive. Feel free to hold on to childish ideals no experienced player would, and prove everybody wrong by kicking their asses. The example deck that it gives you is the Battle Block Battalion. The history of the deck is, this deck is important to me because I made it myself. It's a little mishmash as a result. My ace is important because it reminds me of when I was a kid. The gimmick is smaller warriors that team up. So that's what we were talking about before with the strong thing but weak thing. I guess in this instance, it would be weak thing helped by strong thing. Recommended staples, summon, army, and fireball. So it's actually giving you recommendations on how to build this deck. And your starting deck are the Battle Block Battalion, Star Warrior, Toy Box, Support Copter, and Build instructions. Each of them have some unique effects. Star Warrior is an ace. It has Teamwork 1, Piercer 1, and Follow-Up. And it's actually probably one of my favorite gimmicks for the starter decks. On the judge's end, when you're running the resolve, it tells you, don't be afraid to, in a critical moment, shoot the resolve down on the precipice of winning. This is Ash losing the input the regional championship at the cusp of winning.
Every loss Ash has had.
Yeah, every L he's ever taken.
Of which there are many.
Have the NPCs underestimate the resolved and, have their overconfidence lead to their downfall. This kind of keys into what the book talked about earlier, where it says, NPCs should be willing to win, but ultimately be beatable. Have authority figures call out the potential of the resolved. They could be unstoppable if they just, lock the fuck in. And teach things to the resolve that conflict with their intrinsic ideal optimism. I like that a lot. It even gives you some tips, and this goes for every other playbook, for how to specifically play with the playbook specific moves. So talking about their mentor, their headstrong luck, and their pet cards. We're not going to get into all of them because that's a lot of reading, but I like the resolved. It's actually one of the few times where I like the
default.
The what?
Kind of the default.
Yeah, I really like the default in this one. After this, we have me and Josh's favorite playbook, the Prodigy, the Seto Kaiba of the game.
Kaiba.
You are the rich kid. You're the too cool for the friend group. You're kind of mean. Your stats reflect this in your 1 passion, 2 skill, and -1 friendship.
Aren't you literally described as being like a dick?
Yeah, you are kind of a dick to people. Yeah, it's pretty funny. Your struggles kind of reflect your cool kid, rich school demeanor in that you have an enterprise that you own and control, but there are constantly competitors trying to undermine you, or you have family members who are trying to subvert you. You get some fun stuff. Their playbook abilities are all they all pertain to just how cool you are. A lot of your abilities are just getting +1s to any rolls involving your ace. You get an ability, my favorite ability in the game, called Screw the Rules, I Have Money. Basically,
that's literally the name, by the way, Isaiah.
Yeah, no, it is literally called Screw the Rules, yeah. I Have Money. It basically makes it so that if you have prep time, it assumes that you have money and can buy something that you need. And it's pretty much anything that you might need, including a new card or a
Blue Eyes White Jet.
Yeah, or the Blue Eyes White Jet. Exactly. Yeah, you just have to roll a skill check with your skill, and on a 7-up, you get what you want. So it's not even the 7 to 9, 10 plus. It's just on a 7-up, you get exactly what you want.
Yeah.
There's also a fun ability they have called My Second Ace, which allows you to play a duplicate of your ace card, doing the Blue Eyes thing. And a little fun reference to Mai, who is also, I guess, the Prodigy in Yu-Gi-Oh! Because you have an ability called Elegant Egotist, which is the name of one of Mai's signature spell cards. As far as the role-playing the Prodigy, just lean into being, you are the quintessential bully rival. You are the certified generational hater. You should be a little rude, a little abrasive, and more importantly, you need to be aware that you are just better than everyone, or you need to be aware that you think that you are just better than everyone else. And that can involve you hurting the other characters, right? You have a situation where a player is looking to confide in you, but you can't deal with this right now. You're just too cool. Stuff like that.
That one line Kaiba says where I ruin people's lives every day, I'm a CEO, just embody that energy.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. Your general skill rundown is that, you're starting +2 to skill means that you're good at pretty much anything you try that involves expertise and knowledge, but your -1 to friendship means that you come off as kind of a dick. Again, don't be afraid to lean into this. Being bad with people means your character has an opportunity to grow and learn. That's a good thing. The example deck that the Prodigy gives you is a personal favorite, the Speakers of the Chain Titan. We're not going to go super deep into the lore of the game, but basically, this mofo has Obelisk the Tormentor. He just has a big Chungus monster in the form of Prometheus the Chain Titan. It does... it's his ace card. It's a strong warrior that comes with Overwhelm. At the beginning of your turn, you lose 1 health, and when Prometheus is specifically destroyed, it just gets returned to your hand. So it cannot go to the graveyard. The deck gimmick is basically built around summoning Prometheus, and then, summoning the Speakers, which are normal monsters that have buffs for Prometheus, and then dropping Prometheus on the field and keeping him there. For example, the True Name Speaker, when you summon it and Prometheus is on the field, you gain 3 life to supplement having the health drain from having Prometheus out. So that's really cool. I like this archetype a lot. I like this character a lot. As far as like running the Prodigy, the game talks about, throwing random goobers at the Prodigy and let them be disposed of easily. Let the fact that they're an asshole come back to bite them later on. Create challenges that can be solved by their skill and their money. And don't be afraid to create kinks in their armor so that when they have their amazing third act breakdown in front of the protagonist, that they have something to play with, and that something that lets them like grow as a person. It also, like I said, gives you some information about how to run their playbook abilities. So it gives you some information about if they want subordinates, how to run that. The screw the rules, I have money. I love this description. This ability can solve a lot of problems for players when they need something specific, but it can also create interesting goals for the Prodigy when they roll low. If the source of the Prodigy's extreme wealth has been impeded or jeopardized, you should make sure to give the Prodigy an actionable way to get it back that aligns with the goals the players already have. Some examples of ways their wealth could be in question include their company being bought out, Kaiba, their parents have disowned them, Kaiba, they need to hide their identity. Actually, not Kaiba.
Not Kaiba in that case.
Not Kaiba, specifically. They have some stuff for their second ace, lets the player use their ace card a second time in combat. Thematically, you can treat it as representing another version of the ace, essentially being a copy, giving them more than one. I think that's interesting. You can't field 2 versions of the ace. Rules is written, it just lets the ace attack twice, but it presumes that it's a little weird because it's treated in the narrative like a second version, but I guess if the card is destroyed, they both go. A little unclear. It does. Sorry, never mind. I'm wrong on this. It says once per card game, when you have a card with the ace tag on the field, or you've played a card with ace this turn, you can discard a card from your hand to play an additional copy of the ace. So you do literally just get 2. Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Well, it's weird because the running the Prodigy just says it lets them use their ace card a second time in combat. But no, that's not true. You literally just get 2 aces. You have 2 monsters on the field.
I mean, that is also using their card twice.
Yes, but for the sake of card destruction, it's not. It's treated like a second card.
I guess. Getting a little in the weeds on that one.
What is a TCG if not something that you have to get into on?
Sure.
After the Prodigy, we have the Glowing. The Glowing is you're the best friend. You're the character that everyone gets drawn to. I guess this is more the Jaden, given that he just pulls the homies in, people who otherwise hated each other are all chilling now. You have sort of a gravitational charisma about you, and as such, your character finds a lot of their purpose in helping others. To reflect this, you have a -1 in passion, a +1 in skill, and a +2 to friendship. Your struggles include, having someone, again, because you're sort of like personality, someone following you. You might not know who they are. You got a bit of a stalker. Someone someone you care about has joined the wrong crowd. How are you trying to help them get out of it? Or because of your popularity, some people are disrespecting and bullying towards you, and the things that could come about with that. The abilities that the gifted give you are your celebrated expertise, things that essentially allows you to leverage your character's sort of intrinsic skill in something discussed outside of combat or outside of game. So things like fashion, singing, streaming, acting, magic tricks, robotics, essentially just giving you a tertiary skill that you can call on, and you can treat anything pertaining to that skill base as a 10 when you roll on it. You get a really cool ability I like called Gift Card, which just lets you give a player one of your unique cards for a duel. I think that's super fun. And a lot of their other stuff is around, like, my friends are my power, basically.
That on that Taya shit.
A little bit, yeah. She is also a little Taya coded.
I felt like this playbook was Taya coded.
I suppose. Taya is like pretty terrible at dueling.
Taya sucks ass. Yeah.
Yeah.
She do.
Not great. Role-playing the glowing, the game says that you should really lean into your charisma, lean into the connections you have with people, the way that you naturally sort of draw friends and enemies towards you for one reason or another. You're going to be playing the kind of character who, if the villain needs help, even if it seems ridiculous, your character would help the villain in a time of need. So you're also a little ang-coded. But your empathy can bite you in the ass. And, based on what it says for the GM running the glowing, that is going to happen. Your convictions and what you believe in will be tested constantly. And whether or not your character holds true to those is to be seen, but I would be interested. The example deck you get is the Spirit Samurai deck. I love this deck. It's so cool. I want to say this about a lot of them. Its gimmick revolves around winning clashes. So its ace character basically can force clashes with characters even if it would otherwise have automatically win them. And when you do win them, you get to draw a card. You also get other cards that cannot attack. Oh my god, they cannot attack the opponent directly and do all of their damage through clashes. It is pretty sick. I like this one a lot. As far as running it goes, like I said, you want to test your players' convictions. You want to challenge their beliefs and give them reasons to doubt, but also give them times for which their friends can reinvigorate them and show them that their way is the right way. So that's fun. After the glowing, you have the rogue. I don't necessarily know who this is supposed to be.
I don't know, but I like the vibe of the rogue.
I do like the vibe for the rogue a lot. You're the character who's always got a backup. Oh, no, you know what? This could be Bastion from GX. Like, Mr. I have 6 decks and I can always figure out the solution because I'm just that 5-head.
Bastion.
The guy with the elemental decks.
Maybe? Not really sure who it's supposed to be.
Well, so at first I thought it was Mai, but then the Prodigy has one of Mai's things as one of its abilities. So I was like, I wonder if this is Mai instead? Not clear. That being said, the passion stats are 0, the rogue stats are 0 in passion, 2 in skill, and 0 in friendship. Their abilities are about just having backup plans within backup plans. Trick Up Your Sleeve essentially allows you to gain information on the enemy's gimmick and their cards. Independent Contractor allows you to ask the judge 2 questions about any particular situation.
I love the
Counterspell
Trick
variant.
Up Your Sleeve one.
I do like that one too. Counterspell allows you to use a second, or gain a second use, rather, of the counter your opponent's play in a turn. And you have Thieves' Tools, which in the narrative allows you to just kind of do Thieves' Tools things. You just get to be a rogue. Running the rogue, you are aloof, you are adverse to connection, and first and foremost, your mission typically is the most important thing on your mind. You're not here for friendship. It explains this by giving you a +2 to your skill and giving you not a whole lot in anything else. The double 0 in passion and friendship means that you are targeted. You've got one solid means to get shit done, and this friendship, this connection shit is for the birds. Running the rogue, the GM or the judge should play into this. Give the rogue something that they care for that's not the mission, and force them to choose between it. Have the villains pull out tricks that the rogue can counter with their abilities. Give them things that can challenge them by making it so that in, one critical instance, their backup plan fails. The example deck they give you is the Ghost in the Machine. The gimmick is control the game by setting traps and disrupting opponent's game plan. This one, hilariously, actually has a Spirit Samurai card. I wonder why. And most of its other cards can't be targeted or force adverse effects on the enemy. For example, when an opponent declares an attack, you can sacrifice this card to counter the attack. If you do, they can't attack this turn. So you're just cutting off the opponent's entire combat phase. After that, you get the Ally. I like this one a lot, actually. Have you seen the sample deck for the Ally?
I don't think I looked at the Ally. Is just Grandpa, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
But no, I didn't look at the sample deck, I don't think.
Or no, the Ally is more specifically the who's the guy from GX that who works for Pegasus? The artist kid.
Oh, I don't remember.
God damn it, I can't remember. It's fine.
I don't know. He gave me big grandpa energy.
He has a little bit of that too, to be fair. The Ally is one of those characters who you can expect probably won't be dueling that much. In fact, they're the only character who has a specific move that says they have a career path outside of dueling, and your playing of that character should strike a healthy balance between, being a sick duelist in Yu-Gi-Oh! World and just being a normal guy.
Their move specifically calls out having a card shop.
And that's, fair enough.
And they don't duel as much. Yeah, it's fucking grandpa.
Their skill layout is 0 in passion.
Oh yeah, they have the binder.
Yes, they do have a card binder. And 2 in friendship. Their struggles are someone wants to shut down something that matters to you, usually your card shop. A friend of yours disappeared under strange circumstances. Why and how? And you swore off something important in your past. What was it and why? Their abilities, like we said, focus around the fact that you are not just a full-time duelist. You have a job, you have a hobby, or, a business.
What a loser. You have an actual life.
Yeah, you have, it says, an important person, your partners, siblings, your protege, your coworker. One of your skills is your Darksteel Citadel. It's your card shop or a library, and it can be on wheels, or it's the most popular card shop in town, or you own it, or stuff like that.
That's such a dramatic name, Darksteel Citadel.
Darksteel Citadel. I love it. I'm not gonna lie.
I do kind of want to play this playbook, though.
I do too. The deck is really fun. One of my other favorites is I
have a card shop.
Yeah, the card binder skill is pretty fun. You can offer someone to trade them a unique card, and when you do, you note their name in a special slot given. And pretty much you can let other players use your card gimmick instead of their own when making cards. So if they make a card in the, how does it align with a gimmick phase, you get to have an extra gimmick to rely on, giving you, in theory, an extra breadth of cards. Let's see, is there any other one that I really like? Oh yeah, the Friend in Distress. you can just show up when your friends need you, even if you like weren't in the scene otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, that's a classic. Fun. That's been in there since Apocalypse World First Edition. I think the Savvy Head had that ability where they could just show up in any situation.
I kind of like the idea of just renaming that the What's Poppin' Jambles.
What's good?
Yeah, you're like, hey, what'd you get here? Hey, what's poppin' Jambles?
What's happening?
It's fun. As we said, well, while you're role-playing the ally, your story should be focused on, hilariously enough, not the children's card game. The crux of your character is balancing your personal life with this ubiquitous thing that everyone else is doing. And due to that, you're probably not going to be dueling as much as everybody else. You are effectively the quintessential support character of the game. You can duel, it's expected that you will duel, but you are primarily going to be using your abilities to make things easier for your allies. The example deck you have is Pen and Paper Adventures. You're basically the ally created a deck based on TTRPGs, which is the weirdest about face moment where we're getting real deep.
Meta game.
Yeah, we're getting real deep.
And it's
here.
A reference to first edition fucking D&D because it says Pen and Paper Fighter, Pen and Paper Wizard, and Pen and Paper Cleric.
Yeah.
I guess second edition D&D technically.
The cool gimmick about these cards is that they pretty much cannot be destroyed and sent to your graveyard at all. Anytime you lose the card, it goes back to your hand, and you can use your invocation Roll for Initiative, which allows you to get different effects based on the rolls of a d20. So, at base, it strengthens all warrior cards, and then you roll a d20. On a 20, it gets Overwhelm, Piercer 1, and Sniper 1, which is to say that no matter what, it's doing a lot of damage to everything. On an 11 to 19, it just gets Overwhelm. On a 6 to 10, it gets Sniper. On a 2 to 5, it gets Piercer. And on a natural 1, it gets Underwhelm. The deck gimmick for this playbook fucks so hard, dude. I love it. Running for the ally, like we said, create over-the-top enemies that need to be shown an ounce of reality. Give the players hard choices between their personal responsibilities and the children's card game. Make them feel like just a normal guy in a situation where they're running around with Yugimoto, basically speaking. You get a couple.
Some dude named Jim.
You're just like, when you think about Jerry and the boys, you are the boys.
You're not Jerry, you're the boys.
You get some rules about how to run your Darksteel Citadel or how to use your trade binder. So I think I would love to have in a game with, one judge and 3 players, I feel like at least one person should be the ally just for the fun that you get out of that. Next playbook we have is the Spirit. This is, oh god, what's the alien dude's name in Zexal?
Oh, Astral?
Yeah, this is that character. Because it specifically is it's not Yami, because that's, again, in a
Astral.
different book. Yeah. Astral basically assumes that you are not of this world. You are either a ghost or an alien or a magic spell given form. You are just...
some weird magical bullshit.
You are just, as I lovingly call it, you are Egyptian space magic. To reflect this, you have 2 passion, 0 skill, and 0 in friendship. Your skills are all pertaining to the fact that you, due to your unknown or your unusual origin, I should say, essentially turns yourself into a card. You build your deck gimmick around yourself in all of your abilities.
Me.
Yeah, exactly. One of your abilities is called I Play Me. You get to turn yourself into your ace card and play yourself. You of all the characters, I argue, get the most ass pull magic. Because, for example, one skill called Unholy Strength, when you overcome weakness, you can choose 2 benefits instead of 1. Unreal Presence, you can't be hurt, you're invisible, you just do weird magical shit.
There's weird.
There is a second most wild one coming up but I think as far as I'm concerned, this is the one that's the most intrinsically otherworldly, specifically magical. Roles playing the spirit, you should really embody your otherness. You are not like everyone else. You don't necessarily know what you are, so you should feel free to. Yeah, you should just feel free to lean into being weird, doing weird shit, having weird fun, being the character that you say something and everyone turns to look at you. Just have fun being eccentric and weird. It does say that, depending on what you choose your origin to be, to play into specific norms about that. So if you are a nature spirit, play into tropes that involve our nature. If you are some sort of animal spirit, play into that, do weird animal spirit things. The example deck they give you is the Building Blocks of Hope. What do you call? What's the TCG gimmick where you do better at low health? Desperation?
Oh, I don't know if it has a specific name like that. I mean, it might.
I think I heard. Yeah, essentially the deck does better the lower health you have. So a lot of the cards you have are very strong, with the caveat, with the weakness that their effects only proc when you are below less than half your health. Actually, this is a pretty good example of showing how the weaknesses system can buy you more effect points for your budget. I didn't read all of the lore primer stuff, but considering that the deck is called BBH as opposed to the Resolves BBB, there's probably a connection there that I'm not aware of.
Well, I mean, seeing as how the Resolve has Yuma's deck, and if this character is supposed to be Astral, who is Yuma's spirit buddy, it might just be a reference to that.
It could be, yeah. That's what I'm thinking. As far as running for the spirit is concerned, kind of the opposite of what we said, right? Prepare to have NPCs treat your character like a weird thing. Give them information and let them play into the fact that they're receiving this information with no context, or give them sort of esoteric what's the word I'm looking for, premonitions of disasters to come, stuff like that. When they're running their abilities, like things like I Play Me, play into the character's fear or excitedness to that they get to interact with the game, and play into their fear should their character card be destroyed. That could give them some serious baggage, considering that they might be maybe dying. When a character uses Final Form for their first time, play into it. Give them a really cool big moment that shows off that, yeah, this is literally their Final Form. Cool stuff like that. After them, you get the Medium, which I like. This class is weird. I both like it and dislike it in equal measure on pretty much every level. Have you read this one at all? No, yes and no. It's weird because it's the only one in the game that is a specifically human character that has crazy psychic powers, and those psychic powers can affect things in and outside the duel. Like, one of their abilities talks about how their psychic powers hurt people or cause collateral damage, but I wouldn't I know it gives you information on how to deal with this, but even that I feel like doesn't give me the information I want and need. Because if the game says the duels should not affect reality, but in this case, this character's duels affect reality and cause bad things to happen. Well,
it didn't say the duel shouldn't affect reality. It said the cards shouldn't affect reality, but it did say that the playbook's abilities can affect reality during the card game.
Right. That's giving me some weird disco biscuits, not gonna lie.
Why?
You're saying that because the fact that the duel can affect reality with the psychic powers, but the cards can't affect reality is kind of odd. Because
no, it's saying mechanically, when you're designing your cards for your deck, do not design cards that have an effect on reality, but your playbook can give you stuff that will do that. It's just talking about when you're designing cards for your deck, don't design cards that have an impact on the actual world state, such as like when I play this card, the ground turns to lava or some shit like that, right? It's saying don't design cards with that impetus, but the playbooks could potentially have those kinds of abilities, this being one of them.
Okay, I think I get what you're saying. As part of the medium, you are blessed and cursed with a unique, crazy psychic power. You have, like I said, you have real, literal psychic powers. This isn't like this isn't the heart of the cards. You are doing real, crazy psychic.
Yeah, it's not implied powers. It's like straight up crazy psychic powers.
Yeah, the first skill that you start the game with is called Storm Conduit. It gives you your crazy psychic power, whether that's super strength, telekinesis, telepathy, animal transformation, technopathy, elemental control, weapon manifestation. That one's weird, but
it's a weird one. I make gun.
Yeah, well, you make gun in a game where the game specifically says that all problems have to be solvable in the card game. Game says you can't shoot someone, but I can also make a gun at the same time.
It doesn't say you have to solve everything with the card game. It says you should solve most things, but that there will be situations outside of it.
Does it? I'm pretty sure it says very specifically all problems have to be solvable in the card game.
It doesn't say have to be. It says problems are often solved that way.
Hold on a minute.
It's not saying that you can't have a scenario where a character gets into an actual physical fight. It's just saying most people in universe solve their problems via the card game.
Hold on. I gotta check this real quick because I feel like I'm going crazy now.
I don't remember exactly where it says it, so I don't know that you're gonna be able to find it.
Stand by.
Here we go.
It says in the principles, card games decide everything. From tiny disputes to world-shaking calamities, nearly everything in the story can be solved through card games.
Can be.
Oh, I guess. I don't know. I don't.
Can be. It's saying we're using anime, right? Think about the thing think about the media that they are pulling from as reference. In Yu-Gi-Oh, most problems are solved via the card games, but there are situations where characters literally pull guns on each other. This is a thing that has happened. Or characters Kaiba physically beats the dog shit out of people.
He does do that.
And Joey. Motherfuckers be throwing hands.
Joey does kill someone in the Season 0 manga with a yo-yo. That is the thing that happens. Fair enough.
Yeah. Now, granted, you shouldn't have your final battle be decided via guns, right? That would be kind of stupid. But, like, yeah, there could be conflicts that happen outside of that.
Fair enough. Your abilities all sort of focus around how your powers do things to the environment. I don't know why I said do like that. They do things to the environment. A lot of them are not specifically used in the duel. The only one that is, as far as I'm aware, is the dark card games, which lets you do the Bakura shadow game stuff.
Yeah.
It literally gives you the penalty option. Establish that the loser will face supernatural consequences, such as losing memories, becoming cursed to stay in one place, or becoming unable to battle again.
Yeah, I like the idea that you could just mind break a motherfucker.
Remember how Yugi has that power and then never uses it again after one point? Yep. That would have been really useful with dealing with a lot of people.
Yeah.
I give you aneurysm.
I give you stupefy. Bro drops their intelligence to 1, hits them with the feeble mind.
That is kind of what happens. Nuts.
It's exactly what happens.
When role-playing the medium, it's best to play into your absolute deepest angst. You are a storm of collateral damage. You are going to hurt the things and people you care about. There's not a whole lot.
What? I don't understand why it's called Storm Conduit. I didn't get the name.
I didn't really either, to be honest.
I feel like it has to be a reference. I just don't know what it is.
Yeah, but I don't even like. The problem is that there's quite a few anime to pull from, so it could be any.
I know.
I put my money on Vanguard. I don't know why, but I'm putting it on Vanguard.
I don't think so.
Your +2 in passion essentially makes it so that, much like the Resolved, you're very good at getting into trouble and putting yourself in a situation where you use your crazy psychic powers to solve your problems. You are developing those skills, so you have a +1 in the skill trait, but because of your extreme levels of angst, you're sitting at a -1 to friendship. Your character should be subject to things that will hinder them, being angsty or antisocial, anxious, depressed, short-tempered. Play into your negative traits and give yourself something to strive for. The example deck is Ultraviolence Light. I love the name for this. It's kind of odd because this is what the game is talking about. Sort of. The gimmick is actions cause collateral damage to you and your opponent, and it says collateral damage, and it uses the word collateral damage several times in the rules to talk about like doing actual damage to things. But in this instance, it just means that you are going to be damaging yourself and the enemy. So you're just sort of, it's trying to think of what. Help me out here.
What? What? I don't understand what are you saying is a problem here?
Well, so the problem I'm having is that they're using collateral damage in two different contexts. In the description for the medium, they're using collateral damage as a literal, you are causing damage to the environment. In the deck, they're using collateral damage to describe that you are damaging yourself. Yeah. As well as the enemy. So that was one thing.
What are you confused about there?
There's a name for that.
Self-inflicted damage? I
thought it was something else. It's fine.
It's collateral damage. What do you mean? That makes perfect sense. Mechanically, there's no way to damage the environment in the card game, so collateral damage translates to hurting yourself. You're the collateral.
I don't know. It like I said, the shift in context confused me.
You zone in on some weird shit sometimes.
So do you. I don't want to hear that from you.
That's not okay. I don't understand what you're confused about in that scenario, but okay.
We're moving on. It's fine. When you run the medium, play into their volatile, destructive nature. You know, put things in front of them that they are going to destroy. Create problems for them that their own social hindrances will actively stop them from doing. But give them reasons, or give the players reasons to want to support them and help them be better and gain control over this maelstrom of abilities they have. After the medium, you have the Destined. This is the Yugi character, despite how much they look like Eric. You're part of something greater. You were pulled into the great game of fate, whether you like it or not, and your destiny will lead you to something greater or plagued with calamity. Your skills are at a 1 in passion, a 1 at skill, and a 0 in friendship. Your abilities are all about having the heart of the cards and using crazy card rituals like Yugi to summon your Blackluster Soldier. You have literal plot armor by allowing you to ignore failed rolls. It's I like this one. Fun one.
Just gonna ignore my reference on that one.
I didn't even hear you.
Blackluster Soldier.
Oh yeah.
when Grandpa's doing naughty things with his car.
Yeah.
And you go bridge.
Burn the witch.
Burn the witch.
Love you, witch.
My friend used to say that all the time. Burn the witch.
Like, I mean, how often do you and I literally go, "It is what it do, you."
That's what it do, you. That's
and
not
I play Pot of Greed.
And I draw 3 more cards.
That's not even what it's what it do, you. Yeah, I like the skills in this one. I like that they're just really playing into the Yugi bullshit by, again, having Heart of the Cards and Plot Armor as literal skills that you can tap into.
It's very, and it's time to duel.
It's time to duel, yeah.
Which I do love that one. When you would enter a dangerous situation, you can just initiate a card game. Like, I understand something's about to go down, but no.
I read that one. I love that.
Yeah. You're like, oh, something bad's about to happen? No. We're going to duel instead.
I challenge you to a children's card game.
Yeah, like bro's got a fucking gun pointed at your face, like, duel me now.
Counter offer, duel me for it.
Yeah, what? Bro, what?
I'm thinking of the Devil Artemis video where they have it's Cell dueling Yugi, where he's dealing Kermit, because of course Kermit the Frog is a thing with Devil Artemis, and Yugi's like, and I use this spell card and sacrifice Dark Magician to summon my ultimate monster, Dark Magician with a cat. And Cell's like, oh shit, he's packing heat. Like, and I played the equip card Extendo Mags to let him attack again.
Oh no.
It's really cursed, but I kind of love it.
Oh my god, equip cards. That was a thing that existed for a period of time.
Apparently they're still in the meta, according to that YouTuber we both watched.
Really? What the fuck?
Yeah. That's kind of wild. Role-playing the Destined, you sort of play into your kind of protagonist privilege. You play into your heroic origin, and you have something called the Destruction Track, which is part of your Mark of Destiny still. Essentially, how is this described? You essentially have your mark that allows you to pull from a number of abilities. So, searching your deck from a card and adding it to your hand, asking the judge questions that they have to answer, naming something that you want to go your way. Every time you name one of those, you get a tick on what's called your Destruction Track, and when that fills, something calamitous happens that will lead you to your ultimate heroic destiny. So the game talks about leaning into that and not being afraid of tapping into that Mark of Destiny, but being even-handed enough to not, run away with it. When you're running the Destined, you should put things in front of the players that they might have to use their Mark of Destiny to solve. And when it comes to their skills, throw things at them that they can otherwise just, it's time to duel their way out of. That's cool. Yeah, their example deck is called Chthonian Thaumaturgy. This is your Dark Magician. You have your Torch of Hecate, your Path of the Triple Goddess, your Medea, Priest of Hecate, and your Impusa, Chthonian Guard. They literally have your Celtic your Celtic Guardian and your Dark Magician in the same deck. That's pretty funny.
Except Greek themed instead of Egyptian themed. Right,
yeah, Greek themed, 7th edition. Do we keep going or do we call it for today?
Bro, there's like 4 more playbooks.
No, there's 2 more.
Is there? Oh, okay. I don't know. Decide your own fate.
All right, I'll have Brett kill me. It's fine. Okay. After this, we have the Idealist. You are kind of what it describes on the tin. You are similar to the Gifted, where you are sort of a symbol of charisma and connection. But your ability to see the brighter side of things is literally codified into your playbook in a lot of ways. And your skills show this off by having a 1 in passion, a 0 in skill, and 1 in friendship. The skill that you start off with is called Things I Believe In. You essentially get 1 ideology that you and your judge can work with or create. So law, humanity, friendship, safety, destiny, comfort, individuality, freedom, or justice. And whenever you do something that exemplifies that belief, that principle, you get to add a +1 to it. If you are forced to take action that opposes it, you take a -1. This is another one of those support classes where you, a lot of your abilities are centered around assisting your allies in the narrative, less so in the duels. But you can actually use your ideology to assist players in their duels if they are doing something that shares your ideology. Role-playing the idealist, you are just sort of a symbol of goodness in the world, be it justice, freedom, or humanity. You express your beliefs freely, and you try to encourage people to see things your way. Your +1 to passion and friendship make you pretty good at conveying your feelings, but you know that skill, that 0 in skill, is going to make some things a little difficult for you. The example deck is the Shining Glade Insects. The gimmick is based around having a strong ace and then defending it with weaker monsters and forcing things to attack other monsters that aren't your ace. Running for the idealist, introducing villains that are diametrically opposed to them, giving them interesting foils and testing their ideals whenever possible, and giving them situations where they can encourage people with their ideals. Finally, we have the Turncoat. You were a bad guy and now you're good. You are the Duke
Still
Devlin,
edgy, though.
so to speak. You're still you are an edgy queen. But yeah, this is kind of the Duke Devlin, once a bad guy, now a good guy. Interestingly enough, your allies may or might not know that you were at one point a villain. They might, and you might play into that, but it's not necessarily a need. Your skills reflect your edgy former villain demeanor by giving you a 0 in passion, a 1 in skill, and a 1 in friendship. The skill that you start with is your Dark Past. It allows you to list a series of terrible things that you have either done or have had done to you by specific people, specifically accomplices or victims. During character creation, describe the terrible things that you did in your past, and whenever you attempt to defeat, overcome, or compel yourself to goodness, gain +1 to any rolls you make to try to right, when you try to right the wrongs or act in goodness, you get to add +1 to your rolls. You also add +1 when you try to seek forgiveness for the things that you've done. Your skills stand around you bettering yourself as a person, bettering the people around you, finding common ground with other villains, which is pretty neat. While role-playing, you should play into your dark, edgy backstory, play into the uncertainty that comes with trying to turn a new leaf, and lean into the fact that you might be a bit of an outcast with your new friends. Don't be afraid to don't be afraid to come off as a little odd when you're, trying to be remorseful or empathetic, because you are expressing new emotions that you did not previously. The example deck is the Reformed Spider Queen.
Make sure your edgy background music is always playing.
Yes, that too. Actually, so when we were talking about that one archetype, Josh, that affects things specifically from the graveyard, this does that. I thought that was pretty funny. Basically, you can once your ace is out, you can return monsters from the graveyard to do things, and they pretty much the normal monsters cannot be played from your hand. They have to be sacrificed. So I think that's pretty funny. And you have an invocation that literally lets you dump your hand, which is hilarious. When running for the Turncoat, make sure their evil acts of the past come up to bite them.
Their evil ass.
Their evil ass. Make their victims and former accomplices show up to make the narrative messy. Give the player control over their past. Let them describe to you how it defines them, and give them moments where they can achieve forgiveness. And that's a really big one. With all of the playbooks done, the game talks about the several advancements you can take. Most of them are pretty standard fare for Powered by the Apocalypse. They do differ in that you're allowed to take 10 advancements before you must retire your character and complete their arc. A lot of that comes down to being able to add new staples to your deck and adding new ace cards to your deck. I think that's the most advancements I've seen on a character in total in a PBTA game.
10? No.
Are there more? I think that's a lot.
No. Between your regular and your majors? No, I don't think that's that many.
Fair enough.
I think base Apocalypse World's usually like 12.
Really? Oh, wow. Okay.
For
I have
not
to check that
every
book again,
playbook, but for a lot of them. Maybe 10-ish.
Briefly going over Chapter 5. Chapter 5 is the lore docket of the book. This is a very chunky boy coming in at probably close to 80 pages. We're not going to go into all of this, so we're going to give a pretty basic breakdown. The section does have a good amount to offer in some ways that I like and other ways that I don't. First and foremost, it provides a series of names, locations, organizations, and characters that the players can interact with. Each location and organization come with specific plot hooks that allow you to interweave them into your story. Secondly, it references specific historical events, both within the city and the setting as a whole. Long story short, it's Yu-Gi-Oh!, but replace Egypt with Greece, up to and including finding the Egyptian god cards, except they're Greek.
Yeah,
the coolest thing...
That was just a thing they decided. They were like, instead of Egypt, we're just going to go whole hog on Greece, huh?
Yeah. Actually, there is a list of magic items at the beginning of the Shuffle City guide.
That are the Millennium items?
Yes.
Nice.
The
Olympian artifacts, you mean?
Yes.
God damn it, someone knows.
Yeah, it's great.
Achilles eye patch, get the fuck out of here. Cape of the Golden Fleece? Oh my god.
They did, yep. The coolest thing, at least in my opinion, is that Chapter 5 contains dozens, and I mean dozens, of NPCs with unique names, character personalities, card gimmicks, and stat blocks that the judge can run. These NPCs are fully statted as far as the, perfect draw is concerned, and have some of the coolest deck archetypes in the game. This section of the book, the NPC section, is 60 pages long. It is a fuck ton of information. You are never going to have to make NPCs from scratch. Literally ever. It's wild.
I mean, if you run a lot of campaigns, maybe eventually.
Eventually, but you could very easily rehash characters and change some proper nouns around, and you're rehashed immediately. The final thing we're going to go over super, super quick is the Judge's Handbook. There's not a whole lot to talk about here. It gives you some information about what you should think about before you play, and defining boundaries, creating your setting in the game. There's a small section about resolving card problems, basically giving you a oh god, what's the phrase I'm looking for? Oh god. It explains to you the general into the specifics when it comes to resolving discrepancies with cards, what cards take precedence over others.
The order of operations?
Yes, exactly. It does that. That is, about a page long. It gives you information for running battles that are not just basic 1v1s, some a little bit of information on multiplayer battles, simultaneous battles, which is two that are happening at the same time but are in different locations.
I do like that they gave rules on multi-person, like team battles and shit like that, because that was one of the big concerns I had when I thought about like how this game would actually play out, is the idea of, well, usually in an anime like Yu-Gi-Oh, there's only one person dueling at a time, and like in a tabletop context, that kind of sucks.
Yes, correct. And I agree. I'm happy that they brought that up. They even give you a section for what to do when there is only a 1v1 going on, like establishing goals for the other characters to do, so they're not just sitting there on the sidelines.
Watching.
Yeah. So I appreciate that. It does talk about special keywords that are not in the main book, things like activations or fusing. There's also responding. Respond cards are straight up trap cards and resource cards. That is land and mana from Magic.
I was surprised they didn't make a trap card mechanic in the base game.
I agree. They kind of did with the fumble keyword, but fumble is a little more. Fumble relies a lot more on the interrupt move than just the card skill itself. So maybe they were trying to figure out how to implement one while not stepping on the other.
Well, I think the main thing they were trying to do is have minimize needing to remember what's on your field, quote unquote.
Yeah, that too. The final thing they give you is some advice for replicating other TCG effects. So effects that force opponents to discard, winning by decking people out, having extra decks or cards outside of the game, having hero cards / deck leaders. This is Commander and Magic. Ombos and OTKs.
Getting into extra decks would be a lot.
Yeah, no, I agree. I've never heard about mulligans before, but fair enough.
Mulliganing? You don't know what a mulligan is? Mulligan's when you dump your hand to get a new hand.
Oh,
so like a mulligan in Magic at the start of at the first round of the game when you draw your initial hand, you can mulligan as many cards as you want, replace them. So if you like draw 5 cards, I don't remember if you draw 5 or 6 in Magic, but you draw your 5 or 6 or whatever, and then if you don't like 3 of your cards, you dump them and redraw 3. No.
Oh.
No, I'm a filthy liar. Do you have to dump your whole hand? You might have to dump your whole hand. I forget. But there's a rule on your first turn of Magic. If you don't like your hand, you can replace. That's what a mulligan is.
Gotcha.
It's when you're in the middle of a match, a mulligan card is anything that lets you throw out cards for new cards.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I don't know why it's called mulligan. Don't ask me.
But yeah. Besides that is Perfect Draw, everybody. I really like this game. I think this game's awesome. I really want to play it. And, I don't know, rewatch the OG Yu-Gi-Oh! At least Duelist Kingdom. It's a good time.
I mean, I don't know that you have to do that necessarily.
Have to, no.
You can if you want.
But it's a good time, yes.
I mean, I feel like a lot of people are not going to jive with Yu-Gi-Oh! But that's a whole other thing.
I don't know. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to like rewatching this, and I did, and was like, wait, this slaps actually.
If you already are into anime, sure, but if you're kind of like a on the peripherals kind of anime fan, I don't know if Yu-Gi-Oh! Be hitting. I'm gonna be honest.
I want to test that theory. We should get someone who doesn't usually watch anime and get them to rewatch Yu-Gi-Oh! And see it, or get them to watch it for the first time and see if it hits.
I mean, the thing, Yu-Gi-Oh! Has a very Spanish soap opera energy to it.
That's what makes it so good.
It's very dramatic. Yeah, a lot of people don't like that.
I didn't grow up with Telemundo.
Yeah, no, they did not. The white people don't know what Telemundo is.
It's a damn shame.
Yeah, I mean, fuck, what was I gonna say? Shit. No, I can't remember. I don't know. This game is certainly an interesting premise, if nothing else. It's an interesting idea. And like I said, if somebody approached me and was like, could you design a tabletop game for me that emulates the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime? I'd be like, no, you're gonna have to find somebody else. I'm not doing that. That's too much. That's too much, dog.
This game really does exemplify the idea that there's a niche market for everybody.
It is, yeah. God damn. But it's not even about the nicheness. It's just about I know how complicated I know how complicated trading card games get, and so like trying to emulate that in any capacity in a tabletop, trying to emulate a game within a game, I'm just like, nah, dog. Absolutely not.
Understandable.
I guarantee you there's people out there that will try to play this game and then be disappointed that it's not closer to actual Yu-Gi-Oh! You know what I'm saying?
I do. I think...
I don't agree with what those people are. I don't agree with what the logic of those people will be, but I know there's going to be those people out there like, it should be closer to Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah, I'm sure you are going to get those.
They're wrong, but, whatever.
Yeah. But yeah, that's been us. Feel free to follow us on your social media platform of choice. Give us a like.
Fuck's sake. Give us a subscribe if you got this far. Jesus Lord.
Yeah, seriously. And, if you can shoot us you click on that link in the doobly-doo to send us a coffee so we can pay Brett, we appreciate that.
Why do you just... Never mind.
Why do you have to comment on it? Just don't comment. Just let it rock.
You're not sending a coffee. That's not how that works. You're not sending me a coffee in the mail.
Bro, I don't know what to say. When people plug coffee, they just say, send me a coffee. Like,
I know. You could just... I know, but you don't... Oh my God. Never mind.
You're fighting the mainstream on this. I don't know what you want to tell.
I'm not fighting the mainstream because nobody talks about it anymore. Anyway. It's fine.
Oh my God. All right. Peace, motherfuckers. I'm out.